Good morning, friends. Ash here, NPNP News. It's June 28th, 2026. We're still here fighting this battle each day, each week, right? We come back each week and we look at the lies and the disinformation that comes out. We share the articles with you so we can go through them together and you can understand the level of propaganda, lies, misinformation, disinformation that's being thrown at you. Like the reason I don't share all the articles because I know they're all true. I know most of them are not true. But what we have to do as a society to destroy these people and to beat them is to use our intuitive self, our logical mindset to go through large amounts of information together and make sure that we can understand what's really happening to us as best as possible when we don't have all the information. That's always been my sort of baseline in trying to do this job, right? And I do it for free. I do it for no pay. I do it for no compensation whatsoever because I wanted to try to differentiate myself from the hundreds of other pundits that are out there trying to do the same thing. So the big story that just broke, obviously, besides that Keir Starmer did, in fact, shortly after my last dig come out, he did, in fact, retire, right? He did step down. In fact, Trump, I think, came out and said he was stepping down before he even had his public statement, right? This is a problem. And with the report that's just come out in the UK that showed that 250,000 or more women and girls, white women and girls, were raped by mostly Muslim men, right? The English government is categorizing as Asian, right? Which is not usually how. If I think of an Asian male, I'm thinking of a Chinese male, a Japanese male, maybe Singapore, Indonesia, a few other nations that you could say that guy's an Asian male. I wouldn't think of a Muslim man from Jordan or somebody like from these countries, from Pakistan, as being Asian. And we know that this has been going on. We know that Muslim men were infiltrated into some of the whitest countries in Europe. We were cataloging it the whole time it was happening, and I remember myself saying years ago, "You have to stop this now, or else your country is gonna be taken over," right? And that's exactly what's happening. So Starmer's out. Ex-National Security Advisor John Bolton pleads guilty to mishandling classified info, faces up to 10 years in jail. Now they're saying it's only 5 years. So on good behavior, he's out in 2. He says sent to a country club, maybe, right? He's not sent to Rikers or he's not going to some hardcore prison, right? He's going to probably a country club where it's a minimum security prison. And so there's a chance he might get back out, right? If it's only 5 years, you're out in 2.5 for good behavior. But why does Trump hire this guy? My other point, before I forget, is that a lot of these fake pundits who all came out around the same time, right? 2020-ish, around before. Then the Q thing came out in 2017, right? I remember watching that at first and saying, what is this? I just couldn't figure it out. Yeah, it was some interesting info, but it wasn't info that we didn't know already, a lot of it, right? And you're saying, who are all these secretive people? And now it's turning Alex Jones is coming out saying, "Oh yeah, Q was actually, Flynn and it was Bannon and Flynn and Epstein. And remember, Bannon was tight with Epstein, right? He was hanging with Epstein. And then you have the Flynn angle of it. All those people that are hanging with Flynn, all those pundits who are connected to Flynn." The Juan O'Savin, the Nino Rodriguez's. You see Nino Rodriguez in the hospital now. Oh, he fainted. He is having a heart issue. Is he getting ready to check out or fake check out? We don't know. But you never saw Juan O'Savin's face, right? So if he just disappears one day, and because it turned out he was a disinformation agent, you'll never really know who he was. People are saying he's Wayne Willott, right? Are these fake? My point is any of these people who are fake pundits who are claiming they have information from secret sources inside the government who have been lying and disinforming us for the past 4 or 5 years, are they ever going to, uh, you know, be brought to justice? Are they ever going to be held to account for lying to people? Some of them told people to put their money into gold IRAs and things like that, where they lost a lot of their money, right? Are any of these people ever going to be held to account for the years of disinformation they've given, and while they've collected monies like Warren Savin as he makes a book, and he makes jackets and t-shirts, and he's selling you silver fucking coins while he lies to you, telling you about an EBS that never came. Right? Do you ever see the emergency broadcast system? Remember how many times I heard these guys say that over the last 3 or 4 years? EBS imminent. EBS imminent. EBS imminent. Yeah. Yeah, the new quantum banking system's right around the corner. It's only a matter of hours. Remember Charlie Ward? It's only a matter of days. It's not months, years, it's days. It's weeks. Remember these guys trying to get you to buy dinar all those years? For 15, 20 years of it, right? People have been scamming people over this shit. Yeah, buy some dinar. I got lots of dinar here. Why don't you buy it? It's a worthless currency. Hey, buy some Vietnamese dong. You can get a million Vietnamese dong for $80. I'm a millionaire. I got a million Vietnamese dong. Well, not really. You only got $100. Not even. That's how devalued Vietnam's currency is. So you can see the whole thing is a scam, because if they allow one country's currency to be that devalued and then use that country as basically a place of slave labor, like they did for China when they devalued their currency, and like then when it became too expensive, they just went to Vietnam and other countries that they can exploit. Thing coming where they're going to revalue the dong. You think really? I don't think so. If they would have done it by now, don't you think? Where's your free energy? You never got that either, right? Where's your Doge check? You never got that either, right? Did you know Keir Starmer has an IMDb page? See, another actor? Why does he have an IMDb page for? Why does Keir Starmer have an IMDb page? Was he in Knife Crime Crisis 2025 with Idris Elba? He starred in Knife Crime Crisis with Idris Elba. He was born on September the 2nd, 1962 in Southwark, London, England, UK. He's been married to Victoria Alexander since May the 6th, 2007. They have 2 kids. All right, but what did you star in? Were you in Our Knife Crime Crisis with Idris Elba? I don't want to play that and get. I don't want to get the copyright. Check out Keir and Knife Crime Crisis. That you created a knife crime crisis, by the way, right? Where you imported a bunch of Muslim males that are mostly military age into your country. So I was saying it was Peter Mandelson, the former ambassador to the U.S., who was pictured in his underwear. It wasn't Keir Starmer. I thought for a moment it was Keir Starmer. But if it was Keir Starmer, he wouldn't be able to survive that type of a scandal, right? If Starmer was in his underwear hanging with Epstein and some underage girl, that would be, yeah, that's another step down moment. But the bigger picture here is, why is England not able to put in a good leader that can lead the country and keep it safe, right? Instead, what they've done is basically destroyed England, literally, like they're doing to New York, just on a bigger level. Because they've been, if you're talking about migrants going into a country, the one country that they've been coming to the most the past 10 or 15 years is England, especially the last 10. And you can go see the statistics that'll prove that huge amounts of Muslims are moving into the country. You can go to places like Birmingham right now and look around and say, shit, this doesn't look like the Birmingham that I was in 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. In fact, there's people who are old Londoners are saying London's gone. The London I remember is never going to be there again. You've put too much of, right. It's like if you take one race of people and you just put it on an island where there's only 6,000 people and you put 18,000 black men in there, what do you think's going to happen? And there's nowhere for them to eat. There's nowhere for them to sleep. There's nowhere for them to piss and shit. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good idea to me. If I had a family on that island, I'd be thinking, when's the next ferry out of here? I'm going to board up my house and take everything out. I'm leaving for now because I don't trust that the local government here can protect me anymore. And I'm not allowed to have a firearm, so I can't protect myself. Which means that if I got a family, I'm probably thinking about other options right now. I would be if I had a family on an island like that, where all of a sudden there's 12,000 African men, no women. Okay, that's a problem, right? Because eventually these guys are going to get horny and they're going to want to have sex, right? And there's nobody there to have sex with, just your wives and girls and daughters, right? You get it? Trump threatens to destroy Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. So this thing's going back and forth. Now he wants a guardian angel tax on the oil, which is what it seems like Iran wants to do a fee also for it. It's like saying, this is my sidewalk. It goes by my house. Therefore, if you want to pass by my house, my building, they used to happen, right, with gangs in the city. If you, were passing through a gang area and you happen to be, let's say, a Jewish kid and there was like an Irish neighborhood, you were going to get your ass kicked at one point. Or if you were an Italian kid passing through a Jewish or Irish neighborhood, you might have a problem. You might get taxed, right? You might have somebody come up and say, "Hey, you want to walk through here? Uh, you better have a nickel or something," right? Back in the day. Same with the stores, right? These groups were extorting money from their own people, in a sense, or other groups of people. Usually their own people, because they can control them, right? The Italians, the Jews, they would just extort the businesses in their own neighborhoods. I can keep an eye on you. I'm living in the same neighborhood as you. I'm right up the block, in fact. I got your store under my control. If you don't pay, I'll just trash your store. What are you going to do? Call the cops? Go ahead. If I get arrested for it, once I get out, I'm going to beat the fucking shit out of you and your whole family. That's a given. In your store, forget about it. It's over. Right? That's what used to happen. That happened for decades. Generations it happened for in some neighborhoods. Trump threatens to destroy Iran again. Here's an opinion piece. The Gavin Newsom probe's serious, and he knows it. Yeah, it's serious. This guy's committed massive amounts of crime, and now he's thinking about running for president. Are you kidding me? It's like, let's just forget everything I did. Let's just forget the graft of the last 15, 20 years that I've been doing and all the money I stole. And let's forget that bridge, that train to nowhere that was supposed to be a train, right? That went from somewhere to somewhere and it never got built. But all the money vanished. Denise Undov's 2 goals rallied Germany past Ivory Coast. That was a crazy comeback. I was just thinking, is that a rigged game? It looked like Ivory Coast had that, right? They had them, dude. They had Germany beat. Is that a rigged game? I don't know. Can you rig a soccer match? Sure. You only need a couple of players to go along. One of them being the goalie would be nice to have. It's easy for a goalie to make it look like he tried and still you got the goal, right? I mean, if you think about it, all he's got to do is just react a half second too late. It's some of those goals were so fast that you're like, holy cow! I mean, from these corner kicks and stuff, right? I'm just thinking every time these guys do a header, they're getting almost a concussion, right? So think about it. Some of these soccer players could have multiple concussions per game, walking around not even realizing it. Um, the word from the gematria guys were that it's going to be Mexico, and they got a perfect record. They've never lost a game. They got a huge amount of points. I could see them winning the whole fucking thing. Is the U.S. going to win it? Probably not. Sorry. I think we might have trouble with Bosnia Herzegovina. I mean, look at the last game. We had those guys, and we one play went wrong, and if that one defender had just slid over a little more, they probably wouldn't have scored that goal. But they did. We lost that one. So it turns out some people have been vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial pool for some reason, just to try to say, "Oh, look, Trump, you can't even do the pool right." This is so stupid. What, we got a country to fix. We got a world to fix, and this is what people are doing with their spare time. Hey, let me go into the reflecting pool and cut it up so it looks like Trump's fucked up the reflecting pool. Who cares? This is such a waste of my. I'm just showing you because it's so stupid. This whole thing is just so inane. Like, oh, it's Trump against the Democrats, and meanwhile, your whole world's getting dissected, right? The data centers are going up. Thiel's moving to Argentina. He's making secret societies and shit again because the secret societies that they had before are dying. These people aren't going to be able to exist in this density much longer. Not if they're negative oriented, uh, 4D negative. It's going to be hard for them going forward. Or 3D negative. It's going to be hard for you to go forward in that in what's coming. There's either a split or something, right? There's people talked about a whole bunch of different things. There's going to be a solar flash. There's going to be a split. There's going to be two Earths. There's going to be, the positive 3D timeline, the negative. I don't know. I know something's changing now. That's all I can tell you. There's an energetic change. That I can tell you is true because I feel it in my bones. I feel it, as they say, right? My whole body's changing. I'm getting wider, more muscular, stronger. I have no gray hair at 57 years old, which is, most of my friends either are completely bald, all gray. I've had people say, "Hey, are you dyeing your hair?" I've been accused of dyeing my hair for the past, I don't know, 20 years. I swear to you, I don't dye my hair. I have no gray. I haven't been to a doctor in 3 or 4 years. Um, Last time I checked my blood pressure after I quit smoking was 120 over, normal 120 over like 78 or 80. It was, and I had high blood pressure for years when I smoked. Is somebody being paid to destroy the pool? Maybe. I think so. They're just trying to make Trump look bad any way they can. And now you have, now you have the pundits like the Benjamin Fulford saying, "Oh yeah, well now they switched back, and now the real Trump is back again because he's going against Israel." But it's not the real Trump because the real Trump that was just at the G7 was only 2 inches taller than, or 3 inches taller than Macron, and we know Macron's pretty short. Macron's like, if he's 5'7", that's giving him a lot. I don't even think he's 5'7", so I don't know how tall Macron is. He's short though, right? How tall is Macron? How tall is Macron? How tall is Macron? Oh, he's almost born near my birthday. Wow, that's not good. Is he a Sag? How tall is he? He's 5'9". I doubt it. I don't think so. But even if he was, okay, let's say he is 5'9". He's shorter than his wife, Bridget Macron, who's 5'9". So if she's 5'9", then and she's then he's really like 5'7", I think, is more likely. So let's say he's 5'8", just for, we'll give him an inch, right? Let's say he's 5'8". Okay, well, Trump's 6'2", so he should be a lot taller than him, right? It should be noticeably, he should be more closer to his shoulder. It was the same thing with Hillary, right? She was under, all of a sudden now you're under Bill's chin. Before you were a little taller. It's something small. Emotional UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer resigns less than 2 years after his landslide win. So why can't they keep any good leaders there? Well, because they're all doing the same bad stuff to the people, and the people see it now. And they're like, we're not going to allow you to do that to us anymore. Right? Remember Bojo came in and, oh, it's going to be different. It's Bojo. No, it's the same bullshit. One of my listeners, PDE Sarp, said, "Hi, Ash. Hope all's well. I've been listening to your shows, but hanging back. Like everyone else whose eyes are open, I'm frustrated and feel like this movie not only needs to end, but we, the people, need our lives back." Yeah, we've been taken over, right? The news cycle is just and never ends now, right? It's just it's bouncing you like a pinball machine from one story to the next to this. Oh, now it's the World Cup. Oh, wow. Well, let's forget about all the data centers and let's forget about Epstein and the files and all the probability that you're in those and all that shit, right? Let's forget it all. We got to get rid of this handful of people that's running the world, right? We got to stop arguing amongst ourselves, but that's how they have a program running, right? And it's running really well. It's a separation division program that never ends. It's part of it's through the propaganda networks that they have set up, the press, right? That's why we dissect the press all the time. We watch the articles that they post and we watch what's happening as they bounce us around and we try to make sense of what's happening in our world when we realize that the world we live in is probably a holographic, some type of a hologram, which means there's an AI running it, right? And it's not a good AI. Trump reveals Keir Starmer's quitting before UKPM can announce it himself. Penthouse to the outhouse. Poor Ilhan Omar now claims her erstwhile millionaire hubby made as little as $200 last year. How do you go from making $200 last year and now all of a sudden, from making, you said what, like millions of dollars, right? You had a winery. If you have a vineyard, I mean, you're not making $200. If you are, then you're not running the vineyard very well. Or is he like one of those goners that's like a silent partner in the background? Never, you don't really know if he's there. 5 injured in bloody machete rampage by maniac, allegedly targeting Muslims. So now you got, a Scot, part of the Tartan army, right? Scotland came over to the United States and they drank Boston dry. Those dudes drank so much beer they drank bars dry. Never seen that happen before. Too much. Um, there were some years when Americans drank a lot more than they do now, for sure. And but still, I've never seen a bunch of dudes just go into a bar and say, "Hey, man, I don't know how much beer you have, but it's not enough. Keep them coming." Right? And it's funny, light. I don't know if it was a Michelob Light or one. I think it was just one of those light beers like that. Light Michelob Light had a huge thing in Miami. They had a barge come in filled with beer and they had dancers and bagpipe dudes, and that's smart. That's smart marketing, man. They're like, hey, we got plenty of beer for you. Don't worry about it. We got barges full. Come on down. Miami's got you, dude. But I've never heard of people drinking a bar dry. I like this. That's the one thing I do kind of like about the World Cup is that a lot of Europeans are coming to the United States for the first time and they're realizing, wow, this is nothing like what we've been told. I told you, United States is a huge place, man. You start driving around and you realize how is there not enough homes for and room for everybody? This place is fucking huge. Just try driving across from west to east and some states. It's just it could take you the whole day and you're still in that same state. What was that state that I was in that was like that? It's out west. I can't remember now. I'll think of it in a minute. I ended up having a little bit of a fender bender out there, getting off the road. Had the stupidest accident you could possibly have in like a parking lot kind of thing. Nebraska. Yeah, try driving across Nebraska from west to east sometime. You'll be 13, 14 hours deep in that bitch and you're still not out. It's a big, big state. And there's other states like Texas and California that are even bigger. So New York's pretty big. Get up to upstate New York, and there's nothing up there. There's whole areas that are just dead zones where nobody lives. You can buy land up there for cheap as hell, but there's nothing really up there. Just like small towns and villages, maybe some infrastructure, but not much. Here's Danny Tomo's X.com. I'm starting to feature more tweets from X.com of certain people that are like in overseas and in England and different places that are dealing with the migrant crisis more. Today in Birmingham, groups of masked Muslim men chanting Allahu Akbar hunted down British patriots waving Union Jacks through the street. So there's people like literally doing this, right? The Muslim groups now are ganging up, and you see it especially in the big cities like Birmingham, where they got like a lot of dudes, it looks like now. They got networks set up, which means that when you try to uh, when you're going to try to remove, if you're going to try to remove massive amounts of Muslim men, like I said, it's going to be an ugly fucking thing. It's going to have to be done with other larger groups of men to do it with weapons. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it. Unless you just let the gangs, let the white soccer guys gang up and then let the Muslims gang up and just let them go at it, which will be ugly. And the Muslims will lose that war because they just don't have the numbers yet. But in another generation, they will. So you got another, I don't know, a little bit of time, and that's about it to really fix this until you can't fix it really so easily anymore. It's already going to be hard to fix in some countries like Sweden, Germany, UK, France. Here's Tommy Robinson's Twitter. On the same day that the whole usual suspects clutched their pearls because of a video of a Scotsman attacking a shop door, shouting out Muslim rape gangs, this was Birmingham. Mass mobs of Muslims in stab-proof vests hunting the English, saying you can't stop us. So I don't see anyone talking about this. You know, the fact is that there's huge gangs of this is going to become something like the old gangs in New York type shit if you don't do something about it. Looking for British patriots in Birmingham. Mass mobs of Muslims in stab-proof vests. Was where? On Alum Rock Road, Birmingham. Here's masked guy saying he's looking for people. So this is going to start happening, and if it does, the cops aren't going to be able to do anything about it if there's too many of these guys. And this guy's got like some patch on, like the Palestinian flag, it looks like.
Shits. You lot need to fix up and be a fucking this is on today. And I'll say it straight. You mandans ain't coming out. You lot ain't men. You're supposed to be coming to protect the community, protect your mosques, yeah, protect your family, protect the Muslim Ummah, protect the community. And if you're not staying at home, being lazy shits, you lot need to fix up and be a fucking man. Because I'll say it straight. I want to see bare mandans come pull up.
So he's trying to get people to get up together and mask up and come out, right? And get vests on and knives, and that's going on right now. Man guilty of terror offenses after returning from Pakistan with bomb-making manual and ISIS execution videos. Shuja Gibrail Mohsen, 20, has been found guilty of sharing and possessing terrorist material following a probe by counter-terrorism policing London. Here's Pakistan again in the spotlight. So you got Pakistan in the spotlight because most of these people in the rape gangs were Pakistanis. There's a ton of Pakistanis in the United Kingdom. A ton. A ton. A lot. Trump sparks confusion after sharing Father's Day photo of a mystery woman while appearing to call her a great daughter. That ended up being like Katsamidis' daughter or something, the billionaire's daughter. I don't know what he was doing. I think maybe he's a little bit non-compos mentis, the older Trump. Now they're saying the new Trump is back, the good Trump's back. He's challenging Netanyahu, telling him he's all the Jews don't like him anymore, which is true. I mean, that's obvious. He hasn't been good for Israel, but you know. I'm not sure what's going on anymore. Is it even Netanyahu even alive? You know, we're so in the dark about all this, and obviously the president's been changed out so many times at this point that we don't know what what iteration of his clone we're even looking at. I'm almost positive the original Trump is long gone. He's also sparked confusion by telling us that there was med beds coming out real soon and everyone's going to get it and into the med bed, and that never happened. And people's families are dying. People die every day. Right? You think Trump would want to get into one of those? I think he needs to. You think he would want to be in one, right? Well, why wouldn't you bring those out the first day you were in office if you had them, right? What about all the other inventions that you've not let come out, like the Rife laser and all these other things that can help people, not hurt, but help people. You're hurting people by not letting these things come out. So Trump declares Starmer was going to resign. That was already, can delete that. We already had that article. Sorry. Trump blocks $150 million fraudulent education loans to combat ghost student scams. We've turned education in this country into a piggy bank. It's true. Just the amount of migrant scams that have gone on, plus the COVID shit, talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars of scams. Vance arrives in Switzerland to resume talks. I don't know what happened with that. The sides have 60 days to finalize the deal signed last week. Wife of Spanish PM forbidden to leave the country as corruption probe piles up. So it's looking like Spain has a huge corruption probe. Obviously, they let 500,000 migrants into the country just out of nowhere, which just wasn't a smart idea, obviously. Drag queen VP of school board arrested for possession of videos depicting the sexual abuse of infants in New York. 46-year-old Travis Longo's phone had images and videos depicting the sexual abuse of infants. I mean, how much more disgusting can you be? I don't even want to think about it. Just the amount of pedophiles that are on this planet is just, to me, it's just a sickening number. I don't know how it's happening. It's obviously there's a much larger level of abuse going on in this world than people realize. Because you don't just do shit like this out of the blue usually. It's usually a lot of, well, not always, but in many instances that I've examined of uh, people who are pedophiles, they were also had pedophilia done to them when they were a child a lot of the time. So they become sexualized around it, right? And it becomes a sickening cycle that goes on and on. Not in all cases, of course, but in many of them. Fed up Trump threatens to blow the shit out of Iran. So they actually did attack each other, right? They said they just hit some targets in Bahrain, and they're not hitting us though, right? They're just hitting other Arab Muslim nations, pissing them off. The fed up Trump threatens to blow up Iran again. I was talking about Tommy Robinson, right? I think I referred to Tommy Robinson as another last name, so sorry, Tommy. Reality Revolt on X.com writes, it's the same old story, childhood trauma, fractured minds, and the gradual acceptance of something taking over. The alien. Um, this was the James Franco 2319 message that he put out, right? Remember when people were saying like James Franco was flipping out and shit? Well, he put this code into like his email or something. It was like James Franco, and he was pointing at the 2319. That's a Monsters Inc. movie reference. So I'm gonna play this clip about the guy like breaking that down. He does a pretty good job of like, because everyone was wondering like, what's up with James Franco like coming out of the woodwork and shit. There's something to it. He's maybe saying he's trapped or he's asking for help. Some serious stuff is going on. That's why hang on a second. I'm contacting you. Right, here's the James Franco. He's at James Franco 2319. This is Reality Revolt on sorry, I'm trying to get the volume. Here it is. So this is reality.revolt on Instagram that I watch sometimes. This guy's got some interesting stuff he breaks down. So Franco comes out with this video. He's at James Franco 2319. So I'm going to read this because he's talking in another language. So I'm going to read there's some captions underneath that I'll read to you. So in case you're just listening and not watching. So this is James Franco's video we're watching here.
2319, c'est le code d'urgence dans Monster Inc.
2319 is so I'm going to mute this now while he talks because he has a great accent, but I can't, it's hard for me to talk over him. So 2319 is in Monsters Inc. 2319, we have a 2319, the movie where monsters terrorize children to harvest their energy. Right, we've seen this before where they scare the children and they have a meter, this device it goes into, right? They're showing you like literally like adrenochrome production. But trauma is also a doorway, a passage for the entity. Have a good trip, like in Disclosure Day. traumatized in childhood and became a passenger. It's not coming from me. It's like I'm just a passenger.
Un hôte pour le parasite.
A
C'est
host
pas
for
un
the
film sur les
parasite.
aliens,
It's
mais
not a
sur la
movie about
possession.
aliens, but about possession.
Après le choc,
After
la
the
victime
shock, the
se
victim
dissocie
disassociates
et un cerf
and a
apparaît,
deer appears,
comme dans
just
Blanche-Neige.
like in Snow White.
Et les animaux
Okay, I needed to break for a second because I've had the exact deer experience. This deer experience, I've had that experience with like an elk in my sleepaway camp. I woke up one day when I was sent to a sleepaway camp as a child, and I had woke up really early. Like, you know, in the summer, the sun comes up like at almost like 6 in the morning, right? The sun will start to come up, and or maybe sometimes even a little bit earlier in the peak of summer. But around 6, nobody was awake yet, and I opened the door to the cabin because I was sleeping in the cabin with like 5 or 6 other kids, and there was this huge elk, like I don't know, about 6 or 8 feet from the door, just staring at me. Huge animal, like bigger than this one. And I didn't see any of the other animals though, but I did see this huge animal, and we stared at each other for I don't know a good 30 seconds, and then uh, the elk just walked off. You know.
sont là pour
The
tromper
animals
son
to deceive the
victime. C'est pour
victim.
ça qu'on voit
That's
des
why
cerfs
we
dans
see
les
deer in
films, comme dans le
films like in Leave the
Midterms
World
produit par
Behind, produced
Obama.
by
Et sur
Obama.
scène,
In
pour
his
être
new
sûr, des
photo,
branches forment des
branches form
toitures
antlers
au-dessus.
above his head. Right. Right. Here's Obama with the antlers, with the branches as antlers. Interesting. He's picking up a lot, this guy.
Sa tête, une façon de nous
A way
dire
of
que les
telling us that our
dirigeants sont
leaders are
possédés.
possessed.
C'est pour ça qu'ils
That's
s'attaquent
why they
toujours
always
aux enfants,
target
comme dans le
children, like in the film
Hansel et
Hansel and
Gretel,
Gretel,
cité par
mentioned by Margaret.
Donc toutes ces
So
divulgations
all these
volontaires de
UFO
planifier
disclosures were
pour nous
planned to
faire
make us
croire à un
believe in
sauveur
an external savior. I think it's an alien,
alors qu'en fait il
when in
s'agit de
reality it's
possession.
about
C'était le
possession.
plan depuis
That
le
was the
début.
plan from the
Vous
beginning.
habituer,
Get you
vous
used
faire
to it,
aimer
make you like it. Like I saw glowing eyes,
et vous faire accepter
and make you accept the entity.
Et c'est une prise de
It's a
contrôle
collective
collective qui
takeover that is
arrive
happening
durant
right during the World Cup,
et
War of the
FIFA
Worlds,
en
and
gématrie
FIFA in
ça donne
Satanic
entre
Gematria is 23. Federation International de Football Association is 2319 in Gematria.
égale
In
23
Satanic Gematria. Wow. So there it is right there. It's about, that's interesting in terms of like the alien aspect of it, because if that's not true, that there is aliens here and whatever, right? If that's all been a fake thing, then what is the real goal of it? Is the goal of it to get us used to Satanism, which is obviously something that's going on, right? That people are doing and practicing. So that's a super interesting guy. You can check him out. He's reality.revolt on Instagram. And there's other guys like that other dude, Juan Bergman, right? On YouTube, who we were watching. He does videos that are similar. It's broken down very quickly in a very, very condensed format. It's dumbed down conspiracy theory stuff. That's what it really is. It's just dumbed down for the public to sort of be able to understand and get it, right? Because if you never heard of what gematria is and you start thinking, you're like, wait a minute, what? Like, the whole fucking NBA is satanic and it's all numerology and shit. It's hard to understand it unless somebody breaks it down to you in a way you can understand. So James Franco was, what was James Franco's thing? Was that like a message? Was that like, hey, we're going into some new thing? He's being, is he possessed? Is he like, dealing with his own issues, being that he had to become a satanic person, right? You have to sign your soul away or do something, right, to become big in that community. I used to know so many actors who were really, really good, and they never made it. They never had a chance to make it because they weren't either part of the system, they weren't willing to be, they weren't willing to do casting couch, etc., to get into the system. GM replaces more than 1,000 workers with 50 robots at flagship's Detroit plant. We're disgusted. You just got replaced. So if 50 robots can take 1,000, just think about how many people are about to get replaced, and they're about to make all these factories go completely robotic soon, right? Within the next 10 years. More Iranian women are defying the regime's hijab law, risking brutal wrath of the morality police. They can't get you all, though, right? If every woman took the hijab off. Oh, sorry, yeah, the hijab. If every woman took the hijab off, they couldn't put you all in jail, right? They don't have enough room. And plus, there's strength in numbers, right? And you're starting to see women not just speaking back to the clerics, but screaming at them. How dare you diminish me, right? Why should I have to hide my face behind a veil? I'm a beautiful, vibrant young woman. I want to be seen. I want people to see the beauty that I am and the gorgeousness that I am and the amazing person that I am. Why should I have to cover my mouth so I can't speak properly? And right? No, that's a form of uh, it's like, there's certain things that they used on slaves that were similar. They would put a piece of metal into your mouth if you spoke out of turn, right? They could do horrific tortures to people to force them to not speak, to force them to capitulate to what they wanted them to do, right? Minnesota AG Keith Ellison erupts after being asked about state's fraud scandal. Done talking to you. Well, remember when he was connected to Antifa? Didn't he have the Antifa manual on him or something? These people never got arrested and dealt with. Opinion: the Anthony Fauci COVID-19 origins cover-up runs deep into our intelligence community. Did you just see who was hanging out with Tulsi Gabbard? By the way, I think it was just pictured with it. Roger Stone steps in to save Gabbard. There was just a picture of him, though, saying that I think, she might be running for 2028. I wouldn't should be surprised. Roger Stone stepped in before when he wanted to fire Gabbard. Why did he do that? But I saw a picture of him with Gabbard where it looked like he was positioning her and himself for her to run in 28. Do I trust Gabbard fully? No, she's PSYOPs. So she used to be in PSYOPs, right? We already talked about Gabbard. So is the fact that she's dropping these documents right as she goes out anything really? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's much. None of the UFO files that have been dropped so far is anything that's making people go, "Oh wow." No, you have to show Trump riding around in one of these things. And if he is talking to these Pleiadians, bring them out into the open already. The Anthony Fauci COVID-19 origins cover-up runs deep into our intelligence community. Opinion piece, New York Post. Senator Lindsey Graham predicts Iran peace talks will fail and Trump will take the Strait of Hormuz by force. That's what he would like. Graham wants him to do. Israel kills terrorist commander who infiltrated near Oz and snatched Yagil Yaakov during October 7th massacre. Remember I was saying that the majority of the people that were responsible for October 7th, whether they were Mossad-controlled Arabs doing it or Muslims doing it, I don't know, right? Some people were saying, yeah, that whole thing was engineered. It appears that it was because if Israel's fast action response teams could have easily got to some of those kibbutzes much quicker than they ended up doing, right? We saw helicopter footage from the helicopter, I believe I showed in one of the videos that I found years ago that showed that there was a helicopter over the rave that was shooting at uh, some of the people on the ground, and they blew up a car and killed people that way. So there was a helicopter there. There was a way that they could have helped the people there and stopped the people at the road from killing those people leaving the rave. They didn't do that. And that whole story got suppressed, and no more information came out afterwards. Who's the mystery blonde behind Trump's cryptic post, and who her great daughter is? Evergreen Chappelle. Here's Evergreen coming back into the mix again. Who is Evergreen Chappelle? Who is Evergreen Chappelle? Evergreen Baptist Gospel Chapel? Evergreen Gospel Chapel. Chappelle. Who is is it Evergreen Chapel? Or is it Evergreen Chappelle a person? The Evergreen Chapel in New York? Wait a minute, what? What's going on here, man? Is this the thing that just burned down? Hold on a second, man. Evergreen Gospel Chapel in Brooklyn. Okay, is this another rabbit hole I just fell down? I don't know. We'll see. Hang on a second, guys. What was this article about? How do we find from Evergreen Chapel to some Trump's cryptic post? Who's the mystery blonde? President Trump set social media buzz with a cryptic image of a mysterious blonde woman late Saturday, which he captioned "Great Daughter." Many observers pointed out that the woman in the photo is Margot Katzimatidis, right, taken in the 90s or early 2000s, but it's not entirely clear why Trump decided to post a photo of her in that way. "Great daughter, my honor," Trump wrote. And then there's a photo of her. Like, I don't understand what. Here's Margot at Camp David during the Clinton administration. So wait a minute. She was tight with the Clintons, and now she's tight with Trump? But her father is a known Republican. So why would she? I don't understand. Her husband, John Katzimatidis, is a billionaire New York City businessman and talk radio host. He's the CEO of Gristedes grocery chains and the Red Apple Group. Family is famously close with Trump and a key donor. Margot and John's daughter, Andrea, has led the Manhattan Republican Party for nearly a decade. She is a staunch backer and close ally of the president. Okay. The photo is thought to show Margot during a visit at Camp David during the Clinton administration. The woman in the image is sitting on a red couch. So I don't understand. She was at Camp David with the Clintons. Does that mean she's got dirt on the Clintons now and that's going to come out? I don't know. I'm not sure why he's posting a photo of her, but I just found it really interesting that he was. Boston gangster spotted in Italy. I don't understand. This was a weird story because there's rumors that like they spotted Whitey Bulger in Italy somewhere, but Whitey Bulger was beaten to death in prison, allegedly, was the story we were told. As soon as he was transferred or taken to this prison, he was beaten to death, right? And I even found the article to prove that it was. Whitey Bulger killing was planned and took just 7 minutes, Justice Department says. August the 23rd, 2022. ABC News. So what's going on? Is Bulger not dead? Because remember, Bulger was a huge deal, right? Because they allowed Bulger to basically operate untouched for many, many years, and he was doing a lot of dirt, right? A lot of damage.
Prison in 2018. Inmates have been indicted in the prison beating death of mobster James Whitey Bulger. Bulger was serving 2 life sentences when he was attacked in West Virginia in a prison in 2018. Surveillance video showed him being steered out of a view in his wheelchair before being killed. One of the men charged in Bulger's death was serving time for being an enforcer in the mafia.
I mean, if you look at the other,
Small plane.
if you look at the other photo of Bulger, it doesn't look anything like the guy with the glasses. Right? I think that this could be another case where, yeah, you got the wrong guy. He's not, and now that guy's dead, and the real Bulger might still be out there. Who knows? I don't know. He was one of the guys connected also into what's his name? The guy that went after Trump, right? He was the one that went after. And the thing with Bulger also was he had a brother that was in law enforcement or something like that, or a cousin or something like that, right? If you watch the Bulger thing, where it's like a very complex case where, yeah, they're trying to get Bulger, but at the same time, Bulger's being protected by somebody within the FBI or he's an informant for them, and so they're allowing basically Bulger to operate without being touched in the open because he's giving them information on other gangsters. Trump's-backed De La Espriella claims victory in Colombia runoff. So the Colombia is having a big election. They're trying to get. Doesn't seem like any of these countries have much of a chance, right? They're all. Look at what happened to Venezuela. Trump citing vandalism 5 days ago says pool repairs to begin. They've now had to put fencing around the pool because apparently people are sneaking around trying to. I mean, what is wrong with these people? What's the point? What, you don't want the guy to fix the pool? You want the pool to be all fucked up? Why? So you can say, oh, look at Trump. He can't even fix the fucking reflecting pool. This is why our country's in the shit right now. This is why our country is going down the fucking toilet. Because of people like this. Right? Whose whole aim is to just try to make one guy look bad instead of saying, how can we fix this country? Kamala Harris backs discussion on eliminating the Electoral College. I think that should be a discussion we should have. Well, you want to get rid of the Electoral College, and how are you going to structure your elections in a way that they can't ever be challenged and messed around with again and cheated on? That's what we need. Newsom legislators face angry backlash over French laundry party. Remember when Newsom was hanging out during COVID? November the 18th, 2020. He went to Hawaii also. Remember he went to Hawaii, by the way, also? After having the French laundry dinner at the French laundry party, where he spent $8,000-9,000 on dinner. He was partying with his friends while you were sitting in your house with a fucking mask on, having to go outside to get your groceries and shit. While some asshole in a store was telling you, you have to have your mask on, sir. You can't come in without your mask. I was the guy walking down the aisles with the bandana open at the bottom, laughing at these fools. The whole time. I never wore a surgical mask. I never wore anything but that bandana, and nobody ever gave me a problem. Not once. I meant the hijab in Iran, right? Not the burqa. I called it the burqa. The burqa is different. It's a full burqa. That's in something that's done in countries like Afghanistan, unfortunately. Right? Full burqa is where your whole face is covered. Your eyes, your lips, your mouth, everything's covered. Your whole head is covered. You're wearing a whole garment. And nobody could see you at all, right? That's not really done in so many countries anymore, thankfully. But Afghanistan's one. And apparently Afghanistan now has no lower limit on child marriage. So you can marry a kid at any age now. 9, 8, 6, whatever. They don't care. You can sell your kid off. You can, whatever, right? Nancy Guthrie ransom note to her family included rambled apology for accidentally killing her. Yeah, I said she was dead 4 days after. She was dead. You knew she was dead. Why? Well, you didn't take her fucking meds, idiot. What do you think? She can survive on her meds for a month without them? I don't think so. Most old people have to take a lot of pills. The older you get, the more pills you got to take, right? Usually. I don't know why that is, but that's the way they have it set up, right? Because we don't understand how to heal ourselves. We've lost that skill. We don't know what the I am attribution is anymore. People aren't doing their daily I ams, which I started doing probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It had completely changed my life for the better because it's like if you tell yourself that you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. It's just the way this universe works. If you're always down on yourself, oh, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Don't ever say that, right? Don't ever talk bad about yourself. Ever, ever, ever. Even if it's by yourself, I don't care. You never speak bad about yourself. You're always talking about yourself in the positive because then everything will turn to the positive for you. If you're always thinking about you have nothing, then you don't have anything, right? If you're always in lack mentality, you're going to be in lack. I know that's hard when you don't have anything. I've had lack most of my life, so in varying numbers, right? Not where I'm in the street necessarily, but let's just say a lot of my life I haven't had a lot of money. And then I've had periods in my life where I have, and I didn't know what to do with it. I went crazy. I remember once wishing, I wish I could get some money real quick, a lot of money real quick, and then I got hit by a car. So you got to be careful what you wish for in this density, right? You could get hurt real bad. So yeah, Nancy Guthrie, I'm almost positive her mother's dead. I've been said that a long time ago. Just like I said, I don't think the real Trump is around either. He's not hiding in some mountain somewhere. That's not what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that Trump died at some point in the past or was murdered, more likely murdered. And they have clones, right? Remember this when you saw the original cloning table with all the people on it? Who was one of the people on there? It was Trump, right? It was Trump. It was Kardashians, Diddy. I think Usher and somebody like that was there. A few musicians. They're all cloned. Trump declares that Keir Starmer failed badly as UK's prime minister as he cries while resigning. I wrote, you flooded your country with Muslim pedophiles and rapists. I'd say, sorry, this is a I made a mistake there. I'd say you are a disgrace to the country and the crown. Pretty much, yeah. Brits are caught up in terrifying night of violence as French music festival descends into stabbings and rapes. There was a festival in France that was, I don't know if it was before, during, or after, but there were a lot of youths, young Muslim men had appeared in that crowd, and some of them had syringes filled with some kind of liquid and were stabbing women with that stuff. So they were probably trying to drug women and take them off to be raped. This seems to be what the real idea was behind bringing all these Muslim men, and they're going to bring them in, and then they're going to start to commit crimes, attacks, and rapes, and that's exactly what they did. And you could look at the rape statistics of Germany, of England, of Sweden, and all these countries that the rape statistics all went up massively when these people were introduced into the country. That's fact. Los Angeles school superintendent resigns amid federal investigation. The FBI raided former Superintendent Alberto Carvalho's home and district office on February the 28th and remains under investigation. There was a huge This is still being investigated. I'm not sure what. It seems like it's a massive thing, though, right? Whatever it is. It's the Los Angeles County School Superintendent. It's a superintendent for one of the largest school systems in the country, right? So whatever this person did, something this person did obviously was massively illegal. I'm assuming it's about some kind of money laundering, some kind of thing like that, because these things get so much money, right? Education. Ex-Justice Minister given 25-year prison sentence for South Korea martial law role. So remember there was some people they kept trying to mess around in South Korea with the election, and they were trying to do a martial law thing to sort of shut the government down, but that didn't work, right? Ex-Justice Minister was given 25-year sentence. Norway takes over New York. So we had the Norwegians coming through doing the Norwegian row, the Viking row. It was pretty cool. I met some really nice Scottish people. I met a Scottish couple, a husband and wife, I'm assuming. They were like around my age, maybe a little older. They both had kilts on. And I was admiring their kilts. They were these sky blue, beautiful kilt, man. Beautifully done. I said, that's one of the nicest kilts I've ever seen. I said, it's not the traditional color and everything, or the traditional design, but wow, it was beautiful. They were really nice people. So New York is full of different fans. I've seen some Brazil fans. I've seen Paraguay. I've seen the Tartan Army, the Scots. The Scots. I like the Scots, man. Seen some British fans. New York is full of every race of person you could imagine is here. If you could probably find almost any type of food in the world. It'd probably be some restaurant somewhere in the 5 boroughs you could find it, right? Of course, there might be a few things you can't find, some exotic stuff maybe, right? You can't. 3 non-citizens admit they knowingly voted in federal elections despite ineligibility. The DOJ said the 3 non-citizens voted in Florida, and 2 of them admitted to voting in the 2020 federal election. So that's the one that Trump was saying it's been rigged, right? The third, a Brazilian national, voted in a federal election in 2024 after becoming a lawful permanent resident. A lawful permanent resident, does that mean you're a citizen, though? That doesn't mean citizen, right? So you see what the plan was. Let's flood the country with illegal aliens. We'll let them vote. And then the people that are voting against us don't matter no more. Fast and Furious 2.0. Biden DEA let 1 million fentanyl pills flow to the streets, whistleblower lawyer says. The scandal, mirroring that of the 2009 to 2011 Operation Fast and Furious, was used to gain intel for cases against major drug traffickers in an effort to eventually save more lives. So you let the streets get flooded with 1 million fentanyl pills. Yeah, you let Philadelphia happen, right? You let Kensington happen. You let all those people die who died of fentanyl overdose, right? And then they started to mix it into the cocaine without telling people. That's the other thing, right? If they mix some Fenty up into your coca, you got a fucking problem. Especially if you never tried fentanyl before, you could drop dead. That's what happened to that actor from Boardwalk Empire, right? He dropped dead, man. Because he never tried fentanyl before. He was just a person that liked cocaine. And those are 2 different organisms. Doesn't take much fentanyl to kill somebody either. Get that dose wrong, you're dead, right? You're dead, and that's it. It's over for you. And if there's no Narcan around, you're dead. And you're dead quick. Trump says Strait of Hormuz open after Iran agrees to nuclear honesty. I mean, I don't know. It seems like there's a trickle of ships, but then there was just an attack by Iran again. So it doesn't appear that, although the price is going down of oil in this country, right? Per barrel is going down. Yet I'm still hearing about people paying $4 something. I'm probably going to have to try to buy a car soon, and I really don't want to buy a car up here in the Northeast. It's the worst place to buy a car, really. Why? Well, because the cars are all rusty and shit. A lot of snow and rain up here, right? And of course, they like to make car chassis out of a material called steel, which rusts. Actually, aluminum would be a better. Some cars are made of aluminum, but not many. They used to make certain cars. And of course, what did Ford do? Came out with this hemp car that was made with hemp steel that was 10 times stronger than steel. So his car could crash into a normal car and just buckle the whole thing in, and he wouldn't even have a dent in his. Oh, and it has its own fuel? Oh, wow. That you can grow in your backyard, which is hemp, right? See, that's why they stopped using hemp. It was one of the biggest industries in the world. Why'd they stop doing it? Because they wanted to make a paper industry. The forestry industry wouldn't have to exist anymore with hemp. Why? Because I can make hemp paper. I can make hempcrete with hemp. I could build a house with hempcrete that will never burn with hemp. If all those houses in California, right, would still be standing if they were built out of hempcrete, unless they used a dew weapon directly on the house, which is what they actually do. Because you can see where, like, you know, these kinds of fires don't melt glass, right? They don't melt steel and aluminum down to slag. That requires a temperature of around 2,000 Fahrenheit, which an open forest fire would never reach. Even at the heart of a very large open forest fire that's burning wouldn't get to 2,000 Fahrenheit. It would get maybe in the 1,000 range or more, but not 2,000. It's the same thing with the World Trade Center. They're like, how did those beams fucking buckle? There's no way. It would have had to be 2,000-degree fire for it to buckle those steel beams that were up in there. That building had been hit by a DC-10 before and just took it like it was no problem, right? Big deal. Rand Paul subpoenas Fauci for testimony in COVID origin probe. Paul is expected to question Fauci on whether he lied to Congress. Well, we know he did. Didn't you catch him lying already? I mean, what's this going to prove? How does this guy get in jail? How does this guy go to jail? That's the question. I want to know. Didn't we already do this? Yeah, we did this already. Meet the billionaire power couple advocating communism for landlords and global welfare state from their $30 million Hamptons McMansion. That's usually what these people do, right? There's some rich person that says, hey, you all got to live with nothing. Well, how come you got all this huge house? Well, don't worry about what I got. This is about you. But wait a minute, you got a massive mansion. I want to go to the Hamptons and sit by the pool, sipping margaritas and shit. I wouldn't mind doing that. I'd look better at that pool than you, too. So let me come out and be a pool boy or something. No, you're staying in the communist-held city. That's where you'll be. You're in your communist-held 15-minute city where you're fully surveilled, and if you speak out of turn, your bank account may be debanked, right? Your accounts may be debanked. These people own no buildings with apartments in them, just big houses, usually, these kinds of peeps. They don't own apartment buildings. They own big shit. They own high-rise buildings, maybe. Shit like that, right? Where the rent rolls are in the millions of the dollars. So think about a high-rise where, the apartments, some of them rent for $7,000, $8,000 a month, 6, 9, upper floors, right? Your rent roll, you're talking about millions of dollars are flowing through these entities per month, per year, right? A lot of money. Iran has arrested more than 3,000 citizens for collaborating with the enemy during the war. What about all the people you killed, you murdered? You had families having to go through body bags of other people's dead corpses to find their fucking loved one. Can you imagine having to do that? What kind of PTSD that does to a person? You ever seen a dead body? I have, unfortunately. I've seen multiple dead bodies. By the time I was a teenager, I'd seen multiple dead bodies. So. Some guy jumped off the roof of my building when I was a kid, and it was like 40 stories. So the guy hit like one of these cement planters that they would put like a tree in and then have like a benches around. He hit that on his way down, and that cut his legs off at the waist. So like the rest of his body was in a corner, and it had snowed that night, so there was he was covered. So like if you looked at the guy, all you saw was like a face peering out of the snow. It was like the creepiest. That's something that I never forgot. And when I looked to the left, I realized the guy's legs are laying up in this planter. Like I'm like 10, 11 years old, something like that. Yeah, and it turned out that the guy was had committed suicide. He was dying of cancer, and decided just one day to take a chair up to the roof and took a swan dive and into the back of the building area where there was like a park area that they had built up in the back of that building. So he didn't fall in the main part of the street where he could have hurt somebody. He fell in an area where like nobody really went that much. Senate passes revamped House bill that will bar investors from buying up single-family homes. Trump says he can't fix Chicago's crime epidemic. Trump says he can fix it, sorry. Trump says he can fix Chicago's crime epidemic fast and permanently after 39 people got shot over the weekend. How can that many people get shot in one weekend? It just doesn't, that's like a war zone, like, statistic, right? That's something you'd think of like a World War II battle. Yeah, 39 guys got shot trying to take the city of whatever, right? We got 39 wounded and 6 KIA or something, right? Killed in action, something like that. No. This is Chicago. It's just a regular city. There's no war. Well, there might be a gang war. There's obviously something going on. 39 people shot in 2 days. What other city can claim? I mean, that doesn't even happen in like Haiti. And like Port-au-Prince, I think, isn't even that bad. And that's gang controlled, right? So, guys, I'm going to have to take this break. I'm getting a little tired. About an hour in, so that's about the time I usually break up. Hope you're doing well, working on stretching, staying in your center space. My name is Ash. This is my news punditry show that I renamed Nonprofit News Pundit, which began as We Are the News, WATN. It seems like we're at a very, very critical point in this where the people who have been misinforming and disinforming us for years and who've been profiting off that are now going to be in the spotlight more and more because people will only listen to you so long when you cry wolf and it doesn't happen, right? It's like the story of Peter cried wolf so many times. Like, how many times can you tell us the EBS is imminent before we realize the EBS is not imminent, right? How many times can you tell us that the new quantum banking system is imminent uh, when it's obvious that it is not imminent, right? How many times can you tell us? And by the way, these are the same people that were telling you to buy the Bitcoins and the XRPs, and now XRP is almost a penny again, right? It's under $1 close to right now. It's hovering at under $1 when it was at what, $3? So it's lost more than half its value, almost double its value it's lost. And these are the same people that were originally telling you, hey, buy up this XRP. Oh, but I'm buying it from you? So these people are scammers. That's all they ever were. They were controlled scammers. The Wano Sabins, the Nino Rodriguez's, all of these guys. Because if they really cared about the country, they wouldn't have been selling you silver coins and Mogador jackets and trying to write a book about his stupid life that he's assuming that you think he's a hero, right? Because he travels all over the place. Look at me, I'm traveling in boats all over. I'm a big player in this thing. I don't know who this guy is, but he's not a player for the good. He never was 107. He's a in my view, he's a charlatan. He's somebody who's just another person that's profiting off this. That's why I changed the name of my show to Nonprofit News Pundit, because I want to be known that I'm following the news. I'm following stories that I'm showing you I'm following. I've never come to you and said I have secretive information. I have information that no one else has. And I'm talking about stuff that never happens. I don't do things like that because I'm not trying to be a disinformation agent. I'm trying to inform the public on what's actually going on. And we've been right more than we've been wrong on this channel. And I'm proud of the amount of information that now lays within these shows that anybody can go back and look at and share and use. There's no copyright on any of these shows. You're free to use any sound bites you want at any time. You can use the whole show if you want. I don't care. These shows are here to be not just a news archive to show people in the future what was happening. This is a place of evidence storage. That's how many different shows I've done, over 970 shows, where there is a massive amount of digging that has gone on of evidence and the articles to prove those stories that I told you about. And what I was saying is true, right? Where I'm backing it up with documentable physical evidence that you could look at. So I hope you're well working out stretching. I'm proud of this archive as it stands. I would like to try to save all the shows and then make some kind of other website that people can just go to at their leisure and listen to these, where I'll know it won't be erased at some point by like Rumble or something. Because it's only really on Rumble is where the majority of the shows are now. We've lost my other channel, unfortunately. So I hope you're well working out stretching. The other big story was that they wanted the Senate pass a revamped House bill that will bar investors from buying up single-family homes. But what about raw land? What about the amount of single-family homes already bought by BlackRock and some of these other companies that have huge amounts of real estate under there that they've already? Are you going to force them to sell that back? And we really should have a public land trust where the government holds a lot of BLM lands where people can go. I mean, you can go and for a price camp on BLM lands for long periods of time out west. You can go 6 months in some of these areas. Will let you camp there for multiple months for very low amount of money. Of course, more and more people are starting to live in. I might have to, I'm starting to think I might have to go live in a van or some kind of RV because I don't have enough money to buy the land I want now. Land prices have gone up quite a bit from even the last 5 years, and I don't know if I want to buy land under the current system because I don't think you even legally even own the land when you buy land under this current system, because you're using your strawman name which isn't your real name to purchase that land. So I'm hoping that something was going to happen soon where this fake Trump is removed and we are told more of the truth about what's actually been happening to us, but I don't see that happening right now. So friends, I hope you're well working out, stretching, staying in the center space. I'm gonna go get this coffee, and I'll be right back in one moment. In the meantime, you can do some push-ups, sit-ups, and burpees, and I'll be right back. Thanks, friends. Okay, I'm back, friends. Thanks for that break. I needed it really bad. So if you get 40 people shot in 2 days in your city, that your city's in trouble, right? Something needs to change. There's no other city. Not, I mean, even Port-au-Prince might not have 40 people shot over the weekend. That is a place that's completely gang controlled. You notice they never fixed Haiti, right? So the Senate is talking about this bill, but what about raw land being bought by Chinese and other people from other countries in our country? Why are you allowing our raw land to be bought up by all these people? There's much less good land for sale now than I was seeing 5 or 10 years ago, and it's much more expensive, depending on the state. The cheapest states where I'm seeing land for sale are still the same: Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, parts of West Texas. Um, where else? Some parts in the deep South, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. DOJ sues New York over law barring federal agents from wearing masks. I don't see how you could bar a federal agent from doing that, especially if it's protecting that agent's identity when there's groups that are trying to dox these people, threaten their families' lives and their own. SpaceX shares drop 16% after rocket company discloses it may take on billions in debt. Wait a minute. Why do you need to take on all this money in debt for? Aren't you a super rich company? Yeah. But that's what these guys do. They make a fake company up and then they start borrowing like crazy against it. Why would you take a company public just to go into massive debt, right? Does that make sense? Not really. You take a company public to go raise a whole ton of money by selling the shares of that IPO, right? But you now have shareholders you're responsible to, that you can't just take all the money and do whatever you want with it, right? No, you have to, every cent that you spend, you got to account for it and what you did with it and how you used it. Didn't they just have one of the or was that SpaceX, or was that Bezos company where that huge rocket just completely blew up on the tarmac, that massive explosion? I'm assuming aliens probably did that, right? They didn't want that thing going up, or that was sabotaged. New York School Board VP allegedly kept videos of infants being sexually abused on his phone. This is a school board vice president, somebody on your school board in New York. Deep state purge begins at Tulsi Gabbard's old office as Trump's new spy chief seeks to fire hundreds. Yeah, he's removing all the people that worked under her. See, that's how you do it when you take over an office. You get rid of freaking almost everybody. Or the top people. Why? Because they could be compromised. And even if you're not, I can't take the chance you might be. So it's better to just get rid of a lot of people and put in people I know that are my people that I know and trust. Austin Metcalf's father blasts moral decay of society and challenges the view as son's killer Carmelo Anthony prepares to launch new freedom bid. I wrote, disgustingly true. The View should be shuttered. I mean, these people on The View, some of these African American, one of the African American people on The View, not Whoopi, I think, I forgot her name, was basically trying to make it that Anthony's the victim here. Right? He brought a knife to a track meet. He's the victim now, right? The other kid didn't bring a knife to a track meet. He didn't go looking for trouble. He didn't go to looking to anger the whole other team by standing under there. I get it. It was raining and shit. He was just maybe trying to. But there was probably other places you could have gone for shelter. You could have gone under the bleachers. You could have gone away from that area where there was more shelter. Luxury real estate tycoon's $1.6 billion gamble flops as no one buys $15 million Miami condos on the deadly Surfside collapse site. Yeah, you know why people don't want to buy condos you just put up? Because there's dead bodies that were under there, right? No one wants to live in a fucking graveyard, dude. Ghosts are real. I once went to stay at a friend's house who didn't tell me he had a ghost. If he had, I wouldn't have gone to his house. And so in the middle of the night, I wake up and like all the hairs on my neck and my arms are standing up. I'm completely scared. I've never woke up in like such a state of fear in my life. And I could hear this tapping noise, tap 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 somewhere, and I thought it was just his cat, like maybe eating his hard food because his cat had like a metal bowl, and when the cat ate the food, it would drop in the bowl and make this clank. But it wasn't that sound. So the next day I woke up and my friend said, "Hey, did you see the ghost last night?" And I said, "Oh shit, you have a ghost? You didn't tell me." I said, "I heard the ghost. I think the ghost was standing right behind where I was sleeping, but I didn't want to look over my shoulder. I never looked over my shoulder. I wish I had now to see if I could have seen the ghost. I probably couldn't have, but I was scared. Something was near me. I could sense it, and it was not necessarily evil, though. I could feel that there was like a presence, but it wasn't, something that I felt like was completely evil." And I said, "Well, who is the ghost?" And he said, "It's the woman that used to live in this house. She died here." I said, "Oh." And he never burned sage. And there's things you could do to get rid of a ghost. Unless it's like Amityville Horror type ghost, or whatever that was. That one didn't want to go away, right? I've heard of instances of people having scratches on their body, waking up from some entity. I don't know. DOJ opened civil rights investigation into Brooklyn coffee shop that banned congressman for supporting Israel. Quote, federal law prohibits public accommodations such as coffee shops from discriminating against patrons based on their race, religion, or national origin. Yeah, or political affiliation. I mean, this should be par for the course, right? You're a coffee shop. Just be a coffee shop, dude. Right? Whoever comes in there, if they got the money, give them a cup of coffee. Don't ask about their political affiliation, if they're trans or not, or this or that, or if they're Republican or Democrat or Jewish or Muslim. It doesn't matter, right? Anybody should be able to come into your establishment as long as they're not making a commotion or causing a problem and get a cup of fucking coffee from you without having to get a political sermon. If you want to give a political sermon, become a politician. Run for a public office and make your political views known to everybody and see if they vote for you or not. Somebody that's running on a ticket of, hey, let's exclude every Jew because somebody overseas in another country that has Jews in it that's run by a Jew did something we don't like, is kind of a stupid thing. That would be like, hey, let's make every black person pay because I don't like something that's going on in South Africa or in the Congo. But I'm going to blame every African American person in the United States, most of whom are not African American, by the way, right? If you want to be real about it. And, that would be a stupid thing to also do, right? It's not these people's Americans' fault who are here in America, who've never been to the Congo, who've never been to South Africa. It's not their fault that there's a crazy leader leading that country right now. No. It's nobody's fault but those people. They can't control their own country. It's out of control. It's been taken over by despots. Despotism, right? A despot. What is a despot? Somebody that's not a good leader. It's somebody that's bad. What's a despot? A ruler with absolute power. A person who wields power oppressively. A tyrant. A Byzantine emperor or prince. Well, you want to go back and look at the Byzantine Empire. They did some damage. In other words, it's somebody that rules absolutely, right? That there is no other ruler but me, and I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Business should not be a political environment. It should just be a business. Because if you want to be a political and a business, you're going to all of a sudden, by claiming that you're one political party or the other, you're going to lose half your business. Right? Maybe not in New York. There's not that many Republicans, but you're still going to lose some people. And that's not good for business. FBI arrests 2 more men for UFC White House terror plot to overthrow the U.S. government. One co-conspirator allegedly stated the objective was to generate enough chaos to bring about the overthrow of the U.S. government. How could you do that by fucking up an event? Well, you were, I'm assuming, what, like going to bomb the whole thing, so then Trump and a bunch of other political people who were there would be dead. I get it. It's sort of like a White House Down scenario, right? Saw the movie White House Down. Ilhan Omar's new financial disclosure takes Americans for fools. Claims spouse made as little as $200. How can you how can you make as little as $200? What job are you doing all year that you made nothing? What were you doing though? What'd you work 52 weeks out of the year for free? Yeah, man, I worked, the last week of December. half the week I worked. I did a little half part-time job. I made $200. That's all you did all year? Yeah, yeah. It was a whole rough year for me. What about that vineyard, bro? Isn't that worth like 20 million bucks or something? 10? Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure. This woman is still in the Senate after all the stuff she got caught doing, plus the votes. She was buying people's votes and other shit. Israeli forces will stay in Lebanon as long as necessary, Netanyahu says. The Israeli leader cited the need to defend northern Israeli communities against Hezbollah. It looks like he wants it looks to me like Netanyahu is trying to make what do they call what he's doing? He's making a small area inside Lebanon now where he's pushed a bubble into it, right? That's not going to be Israeli-held territory. That's actually Lebanese territory. But he wants that bubble he wants a little buffer zone, right? That's what they call it. Between him and the Lebanese people. Moreno to subpoena Newsom over California election failures. This is a big deal. This is the probe. How do we remove people like Newsom when you can't, when you tried to recall him and the recall was obviously tainted, where we saw the votes going down, right, the other way when they were going up. They should only be going up, right? We saw the vote for Newsom change right on the screen, the same way as we saw the votes for Biden and Trump change on the screen in the 2020 election. House GOP threatens contempt against Act Blue. Act Blue has faced scrutiny from lawmakers over its fraud prevention methods and reports of foreign nationals using the platform to send money to Democratic candidates. Yeah, that was all exposed. There's all kinds of money coming to Democrats that shouldn't be. Not just from Act Blue either. Remember when we saw Jolo and all that stuff going on, and he was giving all that money to $100 million he gave to the guy from the Fugees? Well, where do you think that money was going to go? He was going to use that money to funnel into all these things that like Soros is doing and Act Blue and all this other crap. And he's going to do it little by little, right? That was going to be money for years that was going to go into this stuff. FBI captures $1.2 billion Medicare fraud fugitive in the Philippines. Second arrest on most wanted fraudsters list. Now we know why the Obama Center is so ugly, PJ Media. It's hideous. And it has no windows in most of the upper part at all. You'd think it's one of the highest buildings in the area. You'd want to have windows on those upper floors to see the beautiful view of the area, right? Nope. Minnesota bans crypto ATMs after scam surge. So they tried to make an ATM for crypto and it didn't work. Crypto kiosks helped scammers turn fear into fast cash. Now Minnesota's pulling the plug. Trying to monetize worthless coins, I wrote, right? See how you can't monetize it? It doesn't work. Why? Because everybody's going to want to get out now at the same time. Because Bitcoin's down to 59,000 and it's still dropping. XRP's at $1. What is XRP at? Did it go up a little more? I mean, how is the Dow at 52,000? Gold's at 4,100. Bitcoin's at 60,000 even. Cardano's at 14 cents. XRP's at $1.05. It's just barely clinging to $1 status, right? It's about to drop under $1 and become a penny coin, which is what a stock does when a stock drops under $1, it's called a penny stock, right? I used to like investing in penny stocks back in the days when I was messing around with the stock market. My thing was I like penny stocks. Why? Because you can get huge positions in something where even a small movement can make you a large amount of money. It doesn't have to move a whole point up to make you a lot. If you have 12,000 shares of something that's worth at 20 cents, right? If that goes to 75 cents, you're fucking loving life. If you can get out, you doubled your cash up almost, maybe more. So you can't have a crypto ATM. That's why there's no ATM machine. There's no Bitcoin machine where I can like put my card in or whatever, my wallet, and cash out my Bitcoin. The only way you can cash out your Bitcoin is on these sites is you have to liquidate it and then you could have to send it back to, right? That's how they try to do it now. It's in Bitcoin, all right, I want to transfer it back to cash. How do I do that? I got to put it back to this account and then back into the bank. Then there's a trail of it, right? They're trying to monetize worthless coins that aren't worth anything in reality, right? Judge blocks Trump admin from using federal database to check citizenship, warns of voter purge. Yeah, we need a voter purge. Some of these people are dead. Some of these people they're saying are 125 years old that have been voting. Right? When Nick Shirley went to that woman's house, it says, hey, you're not 120, are you? You seem pretty spry to me. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like 80 whatever, right? 81. No, it says you're 120. So like her mother's name maybe or something. They have another name, another person that's been voting for who knows how long in that name. And this, as according to the state, you're 40 years older. Democrats just got brutal news about their Texas Senate dream. Two bad candidates. It looks like Democrats are not going to be able to turn Texas blue as easy as they thought. If you're in Brooklyn and hate Jews, that and $9.82 will get you a cup of coffee. So this is about that same coffee place that I was telling you about. So they charged this guy $9.82 for his cup of coffee. Then you berated him online because he was Jewish. This place got what the Jews call, you got a lot of chutzpah, right? You got some balls. The owner is not only a bigot, but he's fleecing people for almost $10 for a lousy cup of joe, I wrote. $10 for a cup of coffee. That better really taste good. That better be some Irish coffee or something, man. I don't know what you're charging me for. I'd rather go get the street cart guy's coffee for like $2 or whatever than your shit. Probably tastes streetcar coffee probably tastes better. And that guy's not going to tell me nothing about his politics. He knows I don't give a shit, right? And he doesn't give a shit about mine, right? I'm out here. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, and that's it, right? So if you're going to charge me $9.82 for a cup of coffee, I can do without your political opinion. I don't need that. It's bad enough that you're fleecing me for this cup of coffee that tastes like shit. And then I got it, right? I don't go to places like that for that reason. I make my own coffee at home. I got an old percolator, the kind you pour the hot water in the top and it drips down. I don't need that electric bullshit. No, I'm old school. I got the kind of coffee maker like your mom had, like where the drips down from the top, the metal kind. That makes to me some of the best coffee. Those old drip coffees from the diners, the big ones, those make the best coffee with the big filter on the top. Those 50 style, 60 style diner big coffee maker, those are the best ones. Iran denies Vance's claim on IAEA inspectors return. So now Iran's saying no, there's no Iranian inspectors going to come in. Our side saying there is. So I don't know who's telling the truth anymore. It's obvious the Strait of Hormuz is not fully open right now. The only ships are trickling through. They're not. But again, is this an attempt to starve us? Yeah, part of it. Starve China. Judge strikes down SNAP bans on soft drinks and candy, so now they can, the people on SNAP benefits can get their shitty food again. Great. Seems like whatever Trump does, there's some judge somewhere that just does the opposite. We have to get rid of this whole justice system in this country, right? The Department of Justice is a big, if you're listening to Mike Gill, it's a big problem because he's saying that Tina Peters was released because she made a deal with the Department of Justice. And Flynn might have also about the whole insurrection thing, because that was the whole thing about what those guys were out there trying to do. They were trying to fuck you over. Flynn and those guys. They got you all riled up and they told you, hey, they want you to come to Washington, D.C. Come to D.C., right? And then all these people got arrested who went to D.C. who were patriots. But you notice that, like, Flynn never got arrested, right? And anyone, and Alex Jones, who was there, never got arrested. And all those pundits who were there, none of them got touched, right? Not one of those big name pundits who were like an alt news pundit who were allegedly at January 6th, they never got touched. Was Juan O'Savin got touched? None of them did, right? And some of them were there. Supreme Court restores the conviction in the Eitan Pates case. I told you I'm connected in a way to this. I went to the same school as Eitan Pates. He was, I think, a year or two behind me. And so it was a big, big story when Eitan Pates went missing, because he literally, all he had to do was walk around the corner to the bus stop. His mother lived in a loft on the third floor where she could see him from the balcony, walk from the house, cross the street, and go around the corner to the bus stop where the bus would pick him up. And decided one day to let him do it by himself, which he was really too young at that time to do it. And, Soho was, let's just say, not as nice as it was today. I always thought that the guy that came forward was the one that did it, because he knew so much details about that. He said he strangled him inside the store and he threw him in the garbage in the back. And back then, those days, the garbage carting would just pick up the garbage and chuck it in the back of the garbage trucks. That's how you could disappear like that, right? That's how the organized crime used to get rid of bodies back in the day. They just dump them in the back of one of their carting trucks, and they go out and they dump directly out into this landfill, right? You're never going to find somebody out there. Once they dump you in the landfill, that's it, right? Because the next day there's another ton of garbage on top of you, and that's that, right? I think that's what happened. I mean, and that's how I felt, because he just disappeared out of thin air, right? Otherwise. He knew the guy from the deli. He lured him into the deli with a free soda, and he strangled him in the deli. Unfortunately, I think that's what happened. But that case rocked the whole city, because this kid just disappeared and nobody could figure out where the hell he went. All this time went by and nobody could ever figure out, where did this kid go. He just vanished. Unsettling jellyfish drones spotted by downed U.S. fighter pilot shows Iran is beefing up war tech. Yeah, these drones now, they're flying in a fixed formation, as if they're like in a what's the word I'm trying to use? They're like hive minds. It's like there's 6 drones that are connected hive mind together with one purpose, and so everything is pre-planned movement, or all the movement is the same. And so, like, this F-16 fighter is like, I saw these drones trying to get flying in unison near him, which means that they could do a lot of damage, right? If 6 of those are armed with charges, they can all go off at once. They can take out a plane. Jewish rights groups urge Trump admin to probe Mamdani in New York City over failure to protect against anti-Semitic hate. Yeah, it's become pretty obvious in New York to a lot of people that Mamdani is a big problem. He's already got other candidates into office who have, if you look at the candidates and the amount of people that voted in some of these races, here's the 2026 races. Like, for the woman that he was, Miss Avila Chevalier, she only got 32,000 votes. Esbayat, who's also a crooked politician, whose father was crooked, was close with 45. But they always put this third person in, or fourth, where they get 3-4%, which is just enough where he loses, right? Was Esbayat a good politician for the 13th district? No. But you notice only 80%, 88% came in, and then you never saw the rest. Where's the rest of the other 12%? Ocasio-Cortez, of course, breezed to victory with 86%. But it's only like 30,000 Democrats even voted for her. Some of these votes, only 10,000 people came out. And I know this is only a Democrat-only voting, but that's low. That's like nobody, right? Just wanted it to show how low the turnouts are in some of these districts for these people. And that's why I guess they can get in, because they maybe used as legal alien votes and just, I don't know what they're doing, but they're making it like look like they're winning easily, and maybe they are because they're getting the younger people's votes, and they're the ones voting right now. Sophie Cunningham doesn't mince words after Caitlin Clark gets a fist to her throat. I mean, look at this. How is this legal, what these people are doing? And this looks like a man doing it to her, by the way. She's being targeted. I mean, this girl's knee just misses her head by inches. She probably got kneed in the head also. I mean, these are flagrant fouls over and over that she's being fouled with. And why are they doing that to her? Because they don't like her. They don't like her because she's white, because she's straight, because she can shoot their lights out from way past the 3 mark. She's making threes from areas that only one other person is like a male has ever done, right? And that's what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Steven something. The guy from the Dallas, is it? I'll think of his name in a second. The short guy, the guard. He can shoot from way far out, but not even she's making shots further out than him. Furious Napa Valley vineyards facing oblivion as crucifying new fees drop. Can we see where this ends? So they're now taxing the vineyards more out in California, which is not good for them. Workers dug beneath Malta. Then they found evidence of a lost giant race. This was buried for a reason. A mysterious network of underground chambers beneath Malta has fueled theories about ancient giants, hidden civilizations, and secrets buried for thousands of years. Researchers investigating the island's massive stone temples and tunnels claim strange discoveries, including oversized skeletal remains and unexplained structures that challenge mainstream history. As whispers of a cover up continue to spread, many believe the truth about Malta's ancient builders may have been deliberately hidden from the world. Yeah, sure. There's all kinds of skeletons they found that are much too big, right? The Smithsonian Institute is a big part of the why this information isn't more public. There are some museums overseas that do have giant skeletons. I think in Iran and a couple of other countries that do. I've seen photos of large skeletons. There were many large skeletons found in the United States in different parts. If you go back in older newspapers, you can find some articles about it. Giant skeletons found, 10-foot, 12-foot skeletons found. You can go to the caves and you can go to the Lovelock Caves in Nevada where apparently giants lived, and there's burn marks around the cave where, if you go back to some of the Paiute stories about giants, that they fought against giants that were eating their people. And they dug these deep pits to trap the giants, and they killed one of the giants like that by trapping it, tricking it into falling into this deep pit that they dug, and then uh, I don't know, burning it up in there or something. And then they found the cave, allegedly found the cave in Lovelock where the giants were hiding and where they lived, and they burnt them up in the cave. And if you go to the Lovelock Caves, the interesting part of it is that there is like evidence around the mouth of that cave that there was a big fire that was set there because it's all blackened, and you can go inside the cave although there's no skeletons that they found in there, or if they were skeletons that were there, they removed them and said there weren't, right? But you can go visit the Lovelock Caves. I do believe there were giants at one time. I don't know what happened to those bloodlines that they killed them. And if there were giants, now that makes sense how the pyramids are built, right? That would be easy for giants to do that. Oh, you need some large blocks of moved, no problem. They could easily lift some 2-ton blocks, those big giants that were 12 footers and higher. Surprising reasons why New Yorkers no longer think New York City is the greatest city in the world. Well, I'll tell you, I'm a good person to ask. I've lived here over 50 years. I'm a lifer that's lived here my whole life, and I've definitely seen the city go from the horrors of the mid 70s where you had garbage stacked up and there were parts of the Lower East Side you just didn't go. There were drug addicts and drug dealers and people living in bombed out, buildings that were just left to go to pot. And there were a lot of buildings in the Lower East Side back in the 70s and 80s that were just people were living in them like squatting in them. They were abandoned buildings. So I've seen the city slowly get better from going into the 80s through the 90s period when you had mayors like Giuliani come in who put more cops on the streets and had a little more strict laws about certain things. I've never seen anything like a Bragg before come in and just open up all the prisons and use COVID to basically destabilize the city and then ship in all these people. That's when you really started to realize these people don't care about you at all. They just want to destroy this place and bring in illegal aliens and a scam and also using the vote. And that's exactly what they did. Blocked COVID vaccine report finally emerges as critics demand answers. New York is much worse off now because of all these carts that they're allowing, these food carts. I was just talking with my friend, and he said they're just everywhere. There's a real increase in them. They're just coming, shooting up every other block. There's a halal cart coming. And the problem is they're not clean, right? They pollute. They leak grease and onto the sidewalk that darkens the sidewalks and makes them look disgusting. And they smell bad. Some of them are illegal carts too that don't have licenses. They're ripping off people that are overpriced food and overpriced drinks. Some people are getting sick from some of the food that these people produce. Mamdani backed lefties sweep New York City congressional primaries as socialist mayor's influence grows to D.C. New York may be lost for a generation. It's already lost. I don't see how they could bring it back unless they immediately remove everybody and put some kind of other government in. The Democratic Party is even going crazy about this. They can't believe Mamdani won. And all these people are getting in. Top Eric Adams advisor Frank Carone has been arrested. Ex-NYPD officials raided and sweeping corruption probes. So there's all this stuff that Adams was doing illegally is starting to come out. Surprising reasons why New Yorkers no longer think it's the greatest. I think I doubled this up. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I wrote too many food carts, too many illegal aliens, too much pollution, too much violence. You let too many felons back on the street. That's just some of the issues. The city needs to be cleaner. You need to get rid of all the food carts. Let the delis come back. That's what they did also as part of COVID, right? They had to get rid of all those little delis and stores where you get food. Why? Because they want you to buy stuff from these food carts. And as of July 2026, I believe they're going to allow 11,000 more food cart licenses, which is like quadruple what there is now almost. So imagine in 2 years how many food carts are going to be. I mean, but there's only going to be so many of that, and eventually you're not going to make enough money to make it worth anything, right? You're just going to make it so polluted that people will start to say there's too many food carts. Remember when the Democrats were all about green cities? That's over. That's so far over. Trump's top general walks out of the Pentagon as Hegseth moves to gut his command and sweeping purge. So that makes me think that there's certain people in the armed forces that aren't following what Trump's doing anymore. At least part of them. Trump cancels plans to sign housing affordability law. Yeah, he's not doing that yet. Alleged Antifa cell gets 450 years for attack on ICE detention center. Now we're talking. The whole cell got that time? How many people are you talking about? Antifa cell members handed long prison terms. Finally, some Antifa people getting some longer sentences. U.S. sanctions 5 Cuban entities, including Castro family member. Senate approves war powers resolution to halt the war with Iran. So they took away, Trump doesn't have the power to just go into a country and attack. He has to, if you want to declare war, the Congress has to vote for it. You have to be allowed to do war. You can't just, but people like Bush Sr. did the same thing. Brazil freezes $125 million in probe of bank controlled by evangelical leader. I think this is John of God or the Church of God, one of these things, the one that got raided, right? Connected possibly to John of God, Oprah's friend, I wrote. Justice Department withdraws subpoenas for 4 reporters. Energy Department creates loans for 10 nuclear reactors, so they're not giving you free energy. Not even close. They're not giving you any free energy. They're not giving you anything. They're still talking. He's doubling down on coal and clean coal, oil. There's a whole petroleum infrastructure that's been built up for the last 100, 30 plus years that they don't want to get rid of it. It's valuable to them. It creates a lot of money. Right? They don't want a car running on a water engine that doesn't give off pollution. They want your car running on a gasoline engine because gasoline is a product of petroleum distillation, right? When they're refining the oil, a byproduct of that is gasoline. And so they said, well, how can we make money on both, right? Well, we'll make a car engine that runs on gas, internal combustion engine, when there's other engines that we could make or they could make the 100-mile-an-hour, 100 miles a gallon engine, but they don't want a carburetor, but they don't want that either, right? They want you to get your car to have very bad gas mileage, so you have to fill it up a lot. So they're price gouging you your whole life with gas that you don't need. UN agency to evacuate 11,000 sailors stranded by the Hormuz crisis, UPI News. Justice Department to appeal drop charges against Abrego Garcia. So they want to let this guy off the hook for when he was caught with 8 or 9 guys in a van, right, with no luggage. Hey, where you guys headed? Oh, don't worry about it, right? Mamdani backed progressives win in New York as states hold primaries. I wrote Brad Lander was around before Mamdani, but he did get a few bad candidates in. AOC, of course, won. Former SNP boss Peter Morell sent to prison for stealing party funds. Ransom note claims Nancy Guthrie died soon after kidnapping. Yeah, I'm assuming you stressed the poor woman out. She didn't have her meds, and she probably had a coronary or something. I wrote botched kidnapping, forgot her meds. Investigators, Surfside condo showed failure weeks before. Yeah, you knew it was failing, is the point. You knew there was a problem as soon as you had that flood, which whenever that was, you should have had the engineer in there the next fucking day as a responsible owner. Hey, what's the damage to my buildings? Because that's the load bearing weight, right? We need to know that those pillars are okay. Oh, they're compromised. Okay, well let's get those fixed right the fuck away, if possible. And if not possible, then we gotta tell everybody to get out of the building. But at the minimum, we have to fix it, and that's going to cost more money. What does that mean? Your common charges go up. So if you were paying, let's say, $400 a month maintenance and common charges, it's now going to go up to $600. And you're not happy about that if you're living there, right? If the owner or other entity covered up how bad the damage was, that would leave them criminally liable, right? In other words, if they knew there was damage to it, if they knew it was failing and they did nothing to fix it, or they put off doing the work because they didn't have the money or to save money, then they could be held criminally liable, and they were. And they've been sued, right? Trump axes his own housing bill in stunning act of sabotages. Republicans are left reeling as the president heads to Capitol Hill for explosive face-to-face showdown. I don't know what's going on with this bill, why he did that. Dominion drops the 2020 election lawsuit against Mike Lindell. The parties have agreed to a settlement, so either he settled with them or I don't know. They were suing him, right? So that means he settled with them for a sum of money, apparently. Most times they don't drop a lawsuit just to drop it. You got to give them something to drop it. Pakistani Iranian nationals charged for healthcare fraud in Oregon as part of DOJ's $6.5 billion crackdown. The charges against Jahangir Ali and Mehrdad Germani were announced Tuesday. But we showed you a lot of the fraud that was going on in the 2020 election. Remember when Runback was sending those ballots from Arizona to Georgia? We showed you the Chinese guy who was selling guy on the phone to China asking about how do I get these ballots made up? How much does it cost? We had verified testimony from people that said, yeah, they set the ballots up the wrong way in Arizona. It was a 19-inch ballot instead of a 20-inch, right? They had it on purpose so that the Republican ballots would get kicked out, right? and then they would have to be judged by another person to see if it was a real vote, right? But it would only happen with the Republican votes because they were the wrong size ballot was programmed in. Those are all facts that were happened on the election day, right? And other stuff, election areas broken into that had ballots. There were crimes like that happening. Ballots disappearing out of the chain of custody. Ballots found by the side of roads. Ballots found in closets. Ballots found destroyed. Pakistani and Iranian nationals charged for healthcare fraud in Oregon. So here we go. Pakistan again. Iranians. Healthcare fraud in Oregon. $6.5 billion, plus the other healthcare fraud that just went on with the Somalis. You got all these foreigners in our country committing healthcare fraud and other frauds. France confirms first case of Ebola and doctor who had worked in the Congo. Loan company to donate $1 million to restore the White House South Lawn following UFC fight. Yeah, they have to. They destroyed the lawn in a big way. Putting that thing, all that big deck out there, just killed all that grass. Longtime Trump supporter pledges philanthropic donation for White House South Lawn. I don't know. That sounds a little bit fishy. Like you're taking grifts, aren't you? Mamdani-backed New York State Senate candidate who downplayed 9/11 wins New York City primary. So another Muslim downplaying 9/11 gets in. Protesters clash outside anti-Israel Brooklyn coffee shop as NYPD separates the sides. Yeah, so then some people showed up and said, hey, what did you do? You're not serving Jews in here? Is that what you said? Really? Huh. And you're charging $9.80 for a piece of crap coffee? Cup of coffee? Used to be for $10, I can get a whole breakfast. Right? Not anymore. You get a cup of coffee, that's it. And some asshole telling you that you're a piece of shit because you don't vote Democrat. Right? Some guy calling you a fascist. A Nazi, whatever, right? Netherlands euthanizes a child under 12 in first case since a major law change. So they're euthanizing kids. Was the kid like dying of cancer? It doesn't sound like it. Most kids aren't dying at 12, right? That's pretty hardcore. Trump teases potential national right to carry legislation. We're working on it. The president made the comment during a speech at a Mack Trucks event in Macungie, Pennsylvania, where he touted his economic agenda. Trump had previously expressed support for gun rights legislation. Yeah, but what about all the other stuff he said was going to happen that never did, like my Doge check, med beds, free energy? None of that happened. Frank Carone arrested, top Eric Adams advisor, triple confirmation. Dems stunned after anti-Israel, anti-capitalist socialists sweep the New York City primaries. The dancing days of the dirtbag left. So then there were some big earthquakes. There was one hit Venezuela, of course, that everyone's talking about, but there was also a 5-point-something hit California. I believe there was one more there. I think there was 2 or 3 earthquakes in the same day in different countries. Some people are saying that they're using CERN again for that, or they're using HARP to make those happen. They're much more... it seems like the Caracas one was extremely destructive. I was watching Ari at home, Wild Wednesday stream, and somebody swatted Ari. Literally swatted Ari. You could hear when Ari's in the park, he just did a long song with a bunch of guys from, I forgot what country it was. It was like Portugal or something like that. It was like a South American country, whatever. That's not the important part. When he's done with the song, Ari's going into the Washington Square Park as he's done before. And all of a sudden, a couple of cops walk up, and you could hear on the cops' radio a white male with a piano-like, with a piano-like instrument. And apparently, and then you hear something like saying that he was waving a gun around, that he was having an argument with some people. The cops were asking, did you have an argument with somebody? No. Like, Ari never has arguments with anybody. That's the whole point. Everybody loves Ari, but not everybody loves Ari. I don't think some of the buskers in the park like Ari much. Why? Because he takes the people away from them. and he doesn't take money. So a lot of people watch Ari for that reason. Once he stops anywhere at a location and he tends to draw a crowd. Now we don't know at this time. I haven't heard who. Obviously, somebody anonymously called in this thing, but the question is, can they find out what that person's number is who did it? Because that's a crime, right? Because you could have got Ari in a lot of trouble. And if you said that he's waving a firearm around, that's even worse. You could have got this kid shot. You could have got this kid tackled and hurt. You could have got this kid knocked down where the rig got broken and he got hurt. And Dills got hurt as cameraman. That's not cool. It's never cool to SWAT somebody, right? That's basically what they did in a sense. They said this guy's walking around. He's a problem. He's confronting people. He's causing a problem. He's making noise. Whatever he's doing, they made him sound like he was dangerous. They made him sound like he was hurting people and causing some kind of commotion that he was not, in fact, causing. The feeling I get about it is it's one of these buskers in the park, because there was one busker I had heard about this guy. He attacked other buskers in the park. He thinks it's his park. Shit like that. So Ari did get swatted. Thank God the cops, I think, kind of realized almost right away, like, yeah, this guy's obviously not like too violent sounding. Excuse me. And also, he's like on a live stream, so like he obviously you could see that he didn't have any commotion with anybody, and that there was never an issue. And the fact that somebody tried to say he was waving a firearm around, that's an even bigger crime, because you could have got this kid shot. So Ari was swatted. Let's hope that never happens again. There were some strange Israeli guys, or who were the first guys that came on, and everyone was saying these guys are Mossad. These guys are Mossad. They could have been Mossad. They could have been that. It seems like Ari's been approached by some heavy people, like this guy Stargate, who's a big producer for apparently people such as Rihanna and others, and they want to work with Ari, and he's like, yeah, I don't do that right now. So he's like telling these like big wig people that could offer him a lot of money, like, I don't want to work with you. I'm just doing my thing. If I want to work with an artist directly, I'll work with an artist directly. I don't need you. Right? If I want to go talk to, some guy from Fuji's and shit, and we want to do something with Wyclef Jean, like, I don't need your permission from the label to do that necessarily. Not with a guy like Wyclef Jean, who's a big wig already. He might have his own label, right? My point is, he's not dealing with these people, and they don't like that. Some of these guys, they want you to work with them, right? They want to use you to make beats for their artists, and you're not doing it, and they don't like that. And I like what Ari's doing. He's bringing the city together. So that's what happened with Ari's last show. He won 2 shows in a row. Somebody in the chat said, hey, NPMP News, are you going to report on that story? And I said affirmative, and I did report on it. So in case you're listening, any of the people from Ari's show, I'm a big fan. I have no affiliation. I'm just a fan like everybody else. Federal judge declares Trump cannot require proof of citizenship to vote. I mean, isn't that the law? Castor wrote that the Constitution, quote, does not grant the president any specific powers over elections. But isn't there something in our election law that says you do have to be a citizen? And what is an actual citizen? It's not what you think it is, right? Isn't there another term besides a citizen if I'm from a country? I don't know. Opinion, gross misinformation, and TikTok dances about murderer Carmelo Anthony keep piling up, with the ladies of The View egging it on. Yeah, they really are. They want to start a race war over this so bad. Right? Like that black guy who was at the thing dancing in that guy's face, just trying, wants to egg it on. So he was hoping so bad that guy would take a swing at him, right? And the guy didn't do it. But that's what they want. They want some white guy attacking a black guy. They want like KKK dudes to show up. They want all this stuff to happen, and it's not happening, right? Incredibly stupid. JP Morgan DEI exec was hit with more fines. So this woman was at the Knicks parade, and they had these special garbage cans, right? That were set, Knicks on them. They were a special thing that they put over the I don't know if they were all put over the garbage cans, but they made a special garbage can. Right, I'll show it to you. Here's the woman, and she decides, I want this garbage can so bad, I'm going to dump all the garbage out into the sidewalk with everybody watching, right? I'm going to take the garbage can, walk away. Here's the garbage can. No household trash, no business trash. Welcome back. We miss you, the Commissioner of Sanitation. So she is on the train, proudly showing off, hey, I just stole this garbage can. Right? And it turns out she works for JP Morgan. She makes $200,000 a year, I think it was. She got hit with a $75 fine, and she lost her job, though. That's the bigger one. So now your $200,000, you could have bought your own garbage can. You could have had an artist make the garbage can for you, a new one for you, right? For your house. You make so much money. But no, I got to go steal it off the street. I wrote, this moron lost her job so she could get a Knicks garbage can. Great. Hope it was worth it. Now you don't have the garbage can or a job. How just 7% of voters, mostly young and white, led Mamdani's New York socialist election surge. 7%. That's what happens when most people don't come out and vote. How are these people manipulating the system, throwing out votes, or is so few people voting that it doesn't even matter? I think it's so few people are voting and they're throwing out votes. I mean, in the New York, in the mayoral race, they want you to believe that only about 2 million people out of a city of 8 million voted, which means 25% of the people voted. That's it. It was 25% turnout, and they're saying it was a record. No, a record is not 25% turnout. A record would be 75% turnout, 80%. Eric Adams' advisor, Frank Carone, posed for pic outside ritzy Long Island mansion with alleged bribe buddy. So these guys are all dirty, right? They helped the Turkish embassy get built faster. They got bribed to do it. It looks like they helped the Turkish embassy to cut the line, and then the Turkish embassy ended up putting a building up before they had been fully inspected, which is not allowed. E-bike victims sue New York City after Mamdani blocks criminal enforcement against wild riders. I tell you, these bikes are super dangerous. There's there's all these delivery guys all over the place now because that's one of the few jobs that these guys who are illegal aliens can do, right? They can run a food truck, they can deliver somebody's Grubhub to them and use some other guy's Grubhub account. And that's about all else. They can do manual labor stuff like put up these construction sheds, and that's about it. There's not too many other jobs for them. They're not going to be working in a call center or something. They're not going to be doing customer service jobs. Most of them can't even speak English. Dad of Mamdani-backed New York primary winner Abra Kawas, who downplayed 9/11, was deported for property fraud, not cruel immigration, as she claimed. So your dad was committed property fraud, this woman, and now she's in an elected office. Powerful 7.2 magnitude earthquake strikes off northern Japan. So there was the Japan earthquake 7.2, Venezuela was a 7.1, and then you had the third one was California 5.1, I think it was. 3 large earthquakes one day. 2 7.0 plus. After 250 years, our American Republic is coming apart. It's been coming apart. It's been coming apart ever since its inception because you allowed the Constitution to be written by a secret society called the Masons, the Masonic Order, which was later infiltrated by the Illuminati. You allowed your Constitution to be written up by Masons of the Masonic Order, which is a secret society that many of your politicians were a part of. Remember, in the original conception, right, of the United States, early on, the only people that were allowed to vote were the landed gentry, which means if you owned land, you could vote. Otherwise, you could not vote. Which means that the majority of the people in the United States could not vote at one time. I don't think people are actually aware of that. So that's really the whole, is that the country that you would want to set up? No, not if everybody's being honest about it. We would have done it a little bit differently, maybe. Is some of the things in the Constitution good ideas? Yeah. but some of them aren't. UK's ruling Labour Party aided and abetted Pakistani rape gangs. Sure they did. They allowed it to happen, and they ignored all the whistleblowers that came forward. Anybody that came forward challenging it, that talked about it, they threw them in jail. All those politicians that threw people like Tommy Robinson in jail should be thrown in jail for what they did, for covering it up. And there's no big protest in England about that. I was shocked that there wasn't more of a response, but then you look and you realize that most of the Daily Mail didn't even cover it. The Daily Mail, in fact, did not cover that 250,000 rape claim. They didn't even cover that whole report that came out. They totally silenced that story because it would enrage the white public, right? If they let that out in full. Foreign-born judge blocks citizenship test, saying it would purge voters. That's the whole point. If you can't, you know, we need a test like that. If you should have to study and know about our country, you should have to speak some kind of English to get in here, a little bit. The Democratic Socialists are ascendant in New York. Here's their bitter vision for America. Traditional Democrats are apprehensive about the breadth of victories. Yeah, you should be. Your party's completely splintered apart, and now it's gone to the left. And there's nothing you could do about it. Because you let these people come in and you did nothing about it. Vanished Republican Congressman Tom Keene reappears 113 days after he was last seen in D.C. So this guy vanished for like 100 days. He wasn't doing any votes, nothing. Nobody knows where he was. He said he was sick or something. That's a long time to be gone. That's almost 3 months. That's over 3 months you were gone. As mystery swirls over his lengthy disappearance, was this guy like switched out for a new clone? Something. Here's Nick Shirley's page on X.com. Welcome to the lawless, dangerous, and illegal markets in New York. So he's back at Canal Street, where millions and potentially billions of tax dollars are lost. Yeah, because these guys are all selling. Some of these guys are saying they're making $20,000 every few months. No taxes, nothing. Where are these guys getting all these goods? How are they infiltrating into the city? Why are they being allowed to keep doing it when it's only a few blocks where they operate on? In other words, if I had 4 cops, I could get rid of this whole problem. I just need like 6 cops. That's it. Maybe 8. I need 2 cops walking the beat on one side of Canal from West Broadway to Broadway. And I need 2 cops on the other side doing the same. And then they go back and forth. And then we will push east if we need to another 2 blocks. Problem solved. Because these guys, that's where they operate. So where are they going to go? Further east? Okay, I'll walk over there where you are and bust you there. And once you see these guys, why don't you bring 60 guys and just take them all in one day? That's what you got to do. You need like 60 guys. Take them all in one day. And the problem would be solved because they'd all be taken and you'd have all their goods and all their shit. And then they'd give up where they were getting it from and it would be over. But the other problem is some of these guys are selling drugs too. They block up the street. They cause problems. In a city that wants to tax the rich but turns a blind eye to open criminality and fraud, there's a problem. How can women feel safe knowing criminals arrested for assault are set free on the streets? This isn't about left or right. It's about what is against the law. We all work too hard and pay too much in taxes for others to break our laws and defraud the system. Yeah. And these guys are all over the place if you go to a canal. And the problem is people keep coming here and buying this shit. Here's Nate Friedman, X.com. My documentary on the Islamification of Birmingham has been demonetized on YouTube after reaching 600,000 views. So here's the entire video on X. In the video, I'm told that it's okay to strike your wife if she's disobeying you. I'm told that I would have to leave the grocery store and go to the city center in order to be able to find a white person. I'm told that all women in the UK who cheat should be executed. Thanks to Elon Musk for commenting on this video and allowing this content to be on X. If it weren't for X, I genuinely think the West would have reached the point of no return on it. So in other words, there's other, like YouTube's demonetized the video. You can't show it. Birmingham's completely gone. Forget about that. You'd have to he'd have to remove so many Muslims from there that I don't even know how you do it. You'd have to go like building by building with military troops. It's the only way you could do it with guns. Sort of like think of like how the Nazis rounded the Jews up. It would be similar, and that was a completely disgusting, horrific thing. If you look at like Kristallnacht and things where Jews were, where the Nazis began to sort of, I guess, pull the noose tighter on the Jewish population in certain areas, right? They began to attack Jewish businesses. They began to burn synagogues. They began to up the propaganda level, right? Nicole Lampert on X.com writes, "This is the United Nations. Look at the face of the UN Special Rapporteur who is meant to stand up for women but has refused again and again to speak up for Israeli women. Look at her face when a former Israeli hostage challenges her. Yeah, here's an Israeli hostage who is alleging that she was sexually abused by her captors, Hamas captors, and this woman who's supposed to be speaking up for women's rights doesn't believe this particular woman because she's of a certain religious background, right? It seems. You can watch that video from Nicole Lampert's X.com. RadioGenoaX.com. He stabs police officers in the back while shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah, here's a guy that just runs up to some cops, stabs one of them in the back twice, and then they got to shoot him. I think they end up shooting him. But just out of nowhere, right? Just runs up on the back of this cop and attacks him. Stabs him in the back twice. I memed, therefore I am on X.com wrote, just another day on Canal Street in New York. NYPD officers battle an African immigrant resisting arrest only for him to be released hours later and resume his illegal enterprise thanks to soft on crime. Yeah, I mean, if you're letting these guys right back out, what's the point? You need to arrest these guys, and it should be an automatic deportation. Then they'd stop doing it. Breitbart News writes, Dara Lisa Avila Chevalier says she's converted to Islam because of the grace and love and passion that her Muslim friends had for social justice, quote unquote. Quote, the friend who pushed me to do it asked me, why have you fasted for 4 years and yet you haven't taken your Shahada? That's from Breitbart. Trump's astounding remark to Netanyahu during expletive-laden shouting match over Hamas peace deal. I wrote, Bibi's a blight on humanity and the Jews. He really is, unfortunately. Oh, I'm getting a horrible, horrible headache, guys. Hang on. Oh, phew. I need this. This report is going so much longer than I thought it should have been. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of articles here. It was almost 180 articles. Long Island school clerk caught tearing up ballots, trashing votes to help her candidate win. They had to actually order a new election on Long Island because of this clerk was found. So if this is just one clerk, look at how many other clerks were found doing similar in the 2020 election. I mean, they literally remember when in Detroit in the counting rooms, they just literally like were covering up the windows so nobody could see what they were doing in there. This clerk was found tearing up ballots for one candidate. Supreme Court rules Trump can turn back asylum seekers at U.S. border and major immigration win. You have to be able to turn back asylum seekers. What are you just supposed to let every person come in here that says they're seeking asylum? You got to prove that you really are seeking asylum, that you really are in danger. Most of these people aren't. Eerie apocalyptic sounds heard on Mount Shasta. So there's something going on Mount Shasta. I know it's a special place where some people say it's got inner earth entrance, but somebody's posted all these speakers all over the place that are giving off this horrific sound that is scaring the shit out of people. Why is that happening? Why are there Bluetooth speakers all over Mount Shasta in the bushes and shit? Is it something from underneath that's coming out? Or is it just somebody that's trying to keep people from looking around certain areas on Shasta? Because there's all kinds of stuff that's happened on Mount Shasta that people can't understand what's happening, right? Why is somebody putting Bluetooth speakers, hundreds of them, all over the place on Mount Shasta? What are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to put some kind of a sound out that scares people. But what's the point of doing that? So that they don't come to the mountain? Or isn't that just going to make more people come? Petrifying answer of hyper-woke New York City congressional favorite when asked if she thinks murderers should be in prison. She actually doesn't think they should be. Oh, well, what do you want to do with them then? Chop their head off? I mean, I don't want to live among a serial killer. Do you? If you know somebody's murdered somebody, I mean, you could kill somebody in self-defense, right? It doesn't. Not everybody that kills somebody is guilty necessarily, right? If someone breaks in your house in the middle of the night and you grab your gun and shoot them, you shouldn't go to jail for murder. You were defending your home and your family. You have a right to do so. Um, Same thing back in the old days. If someone came on your farm and tried to steal your cattle or try to harm your family, or if maybe if Indians came and tried to hurt you, you could kill them. You were supposed to kill them. You have no choice but to, or else they're going to kill you. Caitlin Clark told to abandon the WNBA. I mean, the way she's being treated, I would walk away from the whole league because they're not. First of all, the referees should all be replaced and told to call the game honestly. They're obviously not calling the game honestly. The other part is, why do these players hate her so much? Because she's not gay. That's the disgusting part of it to me. It's not because she's better than them necessarily. It's because she's white and she's not gay. If she was gay, they would love her, right? U.S. Army contracts for critical minerals processing at military bases. So did you just turn the U.S. Army into a mining operation? It looks like it, or parts of it. Why are you contracting for critical minerals processing at military bases? Is that for rare earths and stuff? Or are you going to be doing gold? You're going to be looking for gold? It looks like you just turned the U.S. Army into a mining operation. FBI announces that 7,200 kids have been rescued, thousands of predators have been locked up. Well, that's good news. Opinion piece. Look in the mirror, New York Democrats. Your misrule paved the DSA's way. Yeah, you paved the way for these communists to come in. I think they're communists. I don't think they're democratic socialists. That's just, you know, the USSR was the United Soviet Socialist Republic, right? What does that mean? Are we communists? Yeah. We're not socialists. We're commies. It should just be the United Communist Society or whatever you want to be. You're hammer and sickle, right? Yeah. We're communists in our belief system. We call ourselves socialist republics, but we're actually communist. And fascism's no better. Why is Iran still attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz? I have no idea. They shouldn't be. Are they trying to start a toll booth? Is that what they want? Charge $1 million a ship? That'd be incredibly lucrative for them, wouldn't it? You know how many ships go through there every day? Imagine you're getting like 100,000 a ship. Huge money, right? If I was Caitlin Clark, I'd tell the WNBA to go fuck himself. You made your money. Start a new league or something. Who knows? Go to the 3-on-3 league. Start a women's 3-on-3 league. Fuck them. Why should you get beat up every time you go out there, and then if you throw a foul, they call you for a flagrant almost every time? It's not fair. It's bad umpiring. It's bad refereeing, right? It's a fixed sport. They all are in a sense, but this is even worse the way she's being treated. Homeowner bashing Daria Liza Avila Chevrolet's father is a landlord and rents his Miami condo for $1,750 a month. So her dad owns a condo in Florida and he's making money as a landlord, but she doesn't like homeowners, it appears. Yeah, because all of communism, one of the beliefs is that you're not allowed to own. You shouldn't own any land at all. The collective owns all the land. The state, right? We'll let you farm the state's land, but you can't own any for yourself. Because then you could become independent of the state, and then you wouldn't need the state anymore. You could feed yourself. You could make money by selling your crops and your cattle and such to other people and make profit. We don't want that. We want you beholden to us at all times. New York State orders new school election after Long Island clerk accused of trashing ballots. So this is a school election that she rigged. But you can see if they're willing to rig a school election, wouldn't they be willing to rig anything? Rubio warns Iran to drop Hormuz fee fantasy. Yeah, you're not going to start doing a toll booth in the Straits of Hormuz. We can just go around you or make a new strait, or we can make our own, another Panama Canal, and we'll just make it right near you, and we'll charge nothing, and we'll put you out of business. You can't take a body of water that happens to run in front of, around and by your nation, and claim that you have to pay a toll to go, walk past or sail past my nation. That's like what the gangs used to do, right? Hey, you want to come to my neighborhood? You got to pay a toll, right? That's how the Warriors get in trouble, right? They're going to the orphans neighborhood. Remember, where they're trying to get back to Coney? And they tell them, listen, we just want to go roll through, man. We're not going to mess anything up. We won't tag up your neighborhood, nothing. We're not going to touch anything. We just want to roll through to the next stop. That's all we want to do. And they said, you can't, man. You got to pay something. You got to do a toll, something, because if you don't, it's going to look like we're going to look soft, that we let somebody just walk all over us, right? Can't allow that. U.S. Postal Service wouldn't deliver ballots in states that refuse to fork over mail-in voter info under proposed rule. We need to protect the integrity of the voting rolls, asserted Senator Gary Peters, a critic of the proposal. What do you mean the U.S. Postal won't deliver the ballots? Wow. Who are they to say that they won't do that? Supreme Court blocks Monsanto cancer lawsuits. So there's again Monsanto being protected, the opposite of what I said Trump should do. We said Trump should have shut down Monsanto right away. Instead, he's protecting them, or he's allowing them to be protected. Ford hires back former engineers to fix errors caused by AI. So AI is not always so good. It's not always so thorough. Would you let a robot do your surgery, or would you rather have the most highly trained human surgeon right now do it? I'd probably want a human surgeon more than an AI robot right now, right? They're not competent enough yet to do complex surgeries. Most robots can't do it, although some can. AI data centers face growing water scrutiny. They require so much water that here's Mike Gill's show, Rats Overboard, 622 show. You can check it out. He's talking about Nino and them jumping ship. Right, all of a sudden Nino's in the hospital. He just got out. He has a heart condition now or something. So he could disappear tomorrow, and you wouldn't be that surprised. Oh, he had a heart attack. Oh well. And if Juan O'Savin just vanishes, well, you don't really ever know who he was. Yeah, he's Wayne Willott, but you don't know what he looks like. You sort of do, but he's like this guy that's just floating around out there. You're not really sure what the fuck. Is he a CIA agent? Is he DSI? Is he DIA? Is he CIA? Is he NSA? Is he something A? 13 Dems break with Omdani-led socialists signed promise to America for growth, competition, and broad prosperity. We're for capitalism, not socialism. We're for safety, not lawlessness. We're proud of America, not ashamed of America. And we need to be promoting those things. Yeah, you should be. How are you going to run for office and say you hate your nation, you hate your country? How does that get you elected? Well, what do you plan to do to change it then if it's so bad, according to you? What's your ideas? We want to be communists. We don't want you to own any land anymore. We want to make it so you can't travel freely within the continental, right? You're supposed to be able to travel free and unmolested throughout the United States if you so choose, being a U.S. citizen. What does that mean? It means that if I drive my car normally, I should never be stopped by a cop the whole way. Like I drove cross country, I never even saw a cop. Barely. There's parts of these states that are so big that the cops can't really fully patrol them all, right? They're just too vast. That's why some of these states have 80 miles an hour speed limit out west. That'll keep your ass awake. 80 miles an hour, baby. Israel, Lebanon signed framework peace agreement following U.S.-backed negotiations. Mamdani won't enforce SCOTUS ruling on deportation protection for Haitians and Syrians. Not something we will ever accept. Isn't that illegal? Yeah. If the SCOTUS rules on something, you don't have the right to say we're not going to go by that ruling. Excuse me. Starting to lose my voice a little. Almost done, guys. House committee subpoenas Leon Black midway through Jeffrey Epstein testimony. That was interesting. The timing is interesting. Leon Black, of course, was somebody that gave him a huge sum of money, right? Trump admin live update. Spencer Pratt should protest rigged LA mayoral election, president raves. He should protest it more. And if you got that dirt on Bass, let it out. Here's an opinion piece. Mamdani-backed DSA candidates win in New York City district, leaves residents reeling. She has no real roots in the neighborhood. Yeah, how does she even get in the... What does she just move in there and say, hey, I'm a part of this neighborhood now? Something is very suspicious about these elections, but nobody's looking into nothing in New York. 5 human heads are found stuffed inside a medical freezer in Moscow and linked to a grisly black market body parts ring. Oh, yeah. We know the Chinese have been allegedly using the Uyghurs as, as organ donors and taking their organs from the Uyghurs and other people like them. Allegedly, in hidden places that you never see any video of. Central figure in the $250 million Minnesota fraud case was arrested hiding out in Somalia. DA Alvin Bragg, soft on crime Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg was accepted free tickets to 20 different swanky galas. That may have been illegal. You went to all these galas that you got invitations to, free tickets to, which means you had to pay for some of them, right? That's accepting gifts, which is illegal. You're not allowed to accept monetary gifts or other gifts while you're in public office, usually. Many were thrown by lefty groups working with New York. The DOJ's ordered to unredact more Epstein files, including vile email referencing a torture video. I remember seeing a video or some kind of blurb of a video that was allegedly from Epstein Island where a girl who was tied up was being like, prodded with like a cattle, like one of those cattle prodders things, like, that they use for cattle, which is like electrically shocks you. Sort of like a stun gun, I guess. Was that the torture video he was talking about, or was it something else? Are we talking? I heard people talking about beef jerky, people talking about, are you making humans into beef jerky? Beef jerky is an interesting thing, right? Why? Well, because it doesn't really go bad. It's something like that you can have it wrapped up in something and keep it for a long time, right? DOJ's been ordered to unredact more Epstein files. I thought all the Epstein files were released. Apparently not, because there's more unredacted stuff coming in. Southern California's $1 billion outdoor project, bigger than Central Park, reveals it will charge for parking. So they're making a huge park in Southern California. That's going to be bigger than Central Park, which is, Central Park's about, I'd say 60 blocks, right? It goes from 59th Street technically to 110th Street. So it's about 60 blocks almost. So it's a couple miles altogether. It's fairly large, right? You can walk deep into Central Park and not hear any of the traffic sounds outside. Feel like, where am I? Am I in Manhattan, or am I in some kind of jungle or forest? No, you're in Central Park. Utah warns Southwest region residents of rapid fire spread. You can get lost in Central Park, by the way. I have been a couple times. I mean, you can't really. If you just keep following some of the paths, you'll find your way out. But you can get off the path sometimes and get into some forest and shit. Like, where am I? There's all kinds of stuff out there. An official who claimed to have teleported fired at FEMA. So remember the guy said he teleported to the Waffle House? Is that true? I think it is. Remember years ago I saw some machine that this guy was on, like a YouTube video where the guy like threw down some device on the ground and it opened up like a portal. So Leon Black testified, we know that. Epstein confidant who made millions gave Epstein millions. Charles becomes the first to reveal his taxes. Prince Charles made 17 million bucks in 2025. That's not too bad for somebody who doesn't really have a job. Florida Governor DeSantis announces closure of alligator Alcatraz. It's over. No more alligator Alcatraz. But isn't there still millions of people left at the port? I guess not. Supreme Court shoots down Hawaii's private property gun restriction. So in other words, you can't. If you're on private property and you're carrying a gun, you could still go into somebody's private property and with your gun. You should be able to. Just because somebody's private property doesn't mean you can't conceal carry there. Carry your weapon onto that property. You shouldn't have to give up your weapon just to go on private property. Top Democrat questions how Barack Obama and Bill Clinton were able to accumulate such vast fortunes after leaving. Well, because they were being bribed. They were involved in criminal enterprises. I mean, wasn't Bill Clinton one of the money guys that helped to launder a lot of that Arkansas coke money? Well, that's what, what do you think Bill Clinton's brother was doing? He was selling cocaine. A lot of cocaine. Zoran Mamdani jumps into the New York City pool. So this idiot goes to the pool opening day and jumps in with his three-piece suit on. not a bathing suit, which is not the dress code, which I'm assuming you had your shirts tailored at you have your white shirt that you're wearing tailored. Well, that has chemicals in it from the, right? Unless you don't take it to the cleaners. Most people take their white dress shirts to the cleaners and they have them professionally cleaned. Well, if you did that and you jumped in to the pool, you've now exposed the pool to all those chemicals in your suit. That's why you're not supposed to jump into the pool wearing a three-piece suit, you moron. For a news blurb, so you can look, oh, look how cool my mayor is. He's one of us. He jumped in the pool with his suit on, not his bathing suit though. Right? He has to make everything into a political thing for himself, right? To make him look better. That's what this guy's constantly doing. I've never seen the guy have an honest moment in his fucking life where he just honestly looks like he's having a good time. Even with the Knicks, right? He couldn't just show up wearing the Knicks jersey and look cool. No, you had to wear the suit over the Knicks jersey, which looks incredibly dumb. What would have looked cool is if you wore a pair of jeans, maybe some loafers or sneakers, a Knicks cap, and the Knicks hat and the Knicks jersey, with no shirt underneath it. So you look like one of us. No, he didn't want to do that. Kalshi granted Donald Trump Jr. $300,000 in shares for senior advisor role. So they just gave this guy $300,000 to gamble. That's what Kalshi is. It's a gambling website. They say it's buying shares, but you're really just gambling on different things, political outcomes, sports, etc. It's all bullshit. New York City Council staffer released from ICE custody after 5 months in detention. Goes right back to his job. Court orders Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey to hire more cops or face trial. So this guy's being told you need to hire more cops and he won't do it. Snitch lines are back. Kathy Hochul tells New Yorkers to rat out masked ICE agents. How are you going to do that? You know who they are? What, this guy's got a mask on? I know who he is? No. Are you telling American citizens, are you telling the people of New York State to rat out ICE agents and find out their identities and dox them? That's illegal. Are you telling American citizens? Are you telling the citizens of New York City and state to break the law? It sounds like you are. Iraqi officials, including lawmakers, arrested on corruption charges in overnight raid. So there's Iraqi officials here that got arrested. Soros and son Alex have funneled a staggering $103 million into midterms so far. I mean, they've been doing a lot more than that. They've been funneling money into the elections for years. They're the two people that have probably destabilized the country the most. And Handro Guis. Donnie jumps into the pool to kick off the summer while violating the dress code. So he violates the dress code. He jumps into the pool with, I'm assuming, clothes that were taken to a dry cleaner that are treated with chemicals that are now in that pool. You might have to redo the whole pool's chemical balance now because of that. Why is you charging Napa Valley Vineyards new fees for? Why are you doing that when they're already sensitive and should be protected and cherish these places, not charge higher fees so they have to go out of business? So that's all I got for you so far, friends. It's another news movie. I'm sorry, but that's how it's got to be. This is critical of the time we're in right now because these people who have been misinforming you and disinforming you are starting to drop out of sight after they made their money and people are onto them. They're going to start dropping out. Those people like the Ninos and those guys are going to start dropping away because they're already losing viewership. I mean, Nino's Rumble. It appears to me that Nino's Rumble page is even smaller than mine, so which means that nobody's listening to this guy on Rumble hardly at all. Which means that a lot of people probably aren't really listening to these people anymore. Maybe some to one, but they're really starting to realize that this guy's been a farce from the beginning because not only is he been enriching himself the whole time, he's pretending to be this big religious person and this whole thing, and but he just had a meeting where a meeting where the people showing up were paying $300 to $400 a ticket to see these people. And what, eat a steak dinner with them? Okay, great. These people have been ripping you off for massive amounts of money, having these big get-togethers where they make thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars while they're pretending to be patriots and misinform and disinform the public. So until some of these people are also brought to brought to heel? What really is going on between Flynn and Trump and the DOJ? Is Mike Gill's information ever going to come out? Which shows that people were, massive amounts of money are being money laundered in this country through states like New Hampshire and other states, and states are running their own fentanyl rings. I mean, this has to stop. The amount of criminality going on in some of these states is just biblical in terms of how big it is. And until we really get rid of all these criminal networks that are involved, and then not even talking about organized crime networks or mafia or mafias from different countries. We have people like Dick Anagos and own their own Sinaloa cartel type things in the United States, have their own cartels. So it's, how do we get rid of all these people? I mean, there obviously are ways to get rid of them. Duterte showed you one. You just start popping a lot of them, right? Just shooting drug dealers left and right. And screw the consequences of it. That's one way, but then you're going to kill a bunch of innocent people as well, probably, right? There's not an easy, clean way to do it. That's the problem with, and I'm not advocating for any violence. I never do. This channel never talks about that. But at some point, if your political process is co-opted, and there's no other remedy, what do you do to free yourself from these groups of people who seek to rule over you for generation after generation with no end in sight? That's the question that we face as humanity right now. Do we come together behind our humanity and realize that both sides are manipulating us and keeping us apart, or do we continue down the same road that we have been in this fake holographic matrix? Or does some other event happen that wakes everybody up? Because we haven't had the catalyzing incident that I talked about years ago, the incident that wakes everybody up right away. Like an incident where maybe UFOs show up, or some kind of energetic thing happens where, oh, well, now we can see that the matrix isn't real. That's, I think, the thing that ends up happening that wakes us all up. That there's some kind of energetic event that's happening to the earth now. As that event unfolds and becomes stronger in terms of the energy, I think at some point the matrix, the fake hologram that's over us, will not be able to work fully. And you're seeing it start to break down slowly now as time speeds up. And so I think maybe that is the catalyzing incident, whatever that is. I'm not saying it's a solar flash. I don't know what it is, but it's something that you're going to know that it's happened when it happens, and that you're going to feel it, right? That's my feeling about it. So I'm just kind of waiting for that moment to happen. Like, whether it's one day I wake up and look out the window and go, okay, it happened. That's not the Matrix anymore. Or does it happen where we slowly wake up to the fact that there's aliens and other groups out there, and irrefutable proof begins to come out, and then we slowly wake up that way? I don't know the answer, but there is some kind of an incident that happens that wakes everybody up and that brings us together. I think that has to happen and will happen at some point. So that's my feeling about things, friends. I hope you're well, working out stretching, staying in your center space. Sorry for the long show, but these shows are only happening for a brief more time, and then they won't be here anymore. So there will be 1,000 shows that will stay. I'm looking at 1,000 shows that'll stay, and maybe I'll come back at some point in the future and do some addendum shows where, like, yeah, we could see like this happened 3-4 years later. Oh, okay, it's 5 years later. Here's the med beds. Trump's long gone. Whatever. I'll do some addendum shows for sure if I can, if I'm still alive. But at some point this has to end, right? And the people need to wake up and focus on other things. And maybe that's the way we wake up, but I can only do it so long before I'm starting to break down, and I need to get my life back in order, and I need to do things for myself and get myself out of New York and other things. So I hope you're well. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. It's been a really amazing journey doing all these shows. I'm still doing them, and I'm still going to do them. Even if I move, I'll still be doing them. But I feel like at some point we have to move to another place, right? As humanity, or else we're going to stay stuck where we are. And that can't happen. So I hope you're well. This is your friend in New York, Ash, NPNP News, signing off for now.